probably why I shouldn't click but random buttons.
My guess is you have to have certain camera software.
Or more cameras or something.
Because I think that within the 360 view, like, it'd be like a click your own, see your own view thing on the...
Yeah. Anywho, apologies. I was just trying to make it cool, 360-like. But I done messed it up. Here we are. Here we are.
Tough day.
Real tough day.
Weird day.
Very, very, very weird and tough day.
But yeah, we'll dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, as the title of the show of Damar Hamlin, Life Over a Game. I mean, I'll just go with, like, I was reading Titanic and I look and you've texted me. And
you're reading Titanic.
Yeah.
Is that book as long as the movie?
It feels like it.
Okay.
And by the way, multiple books.
Okay.
Like, so when the boys get their library book, it's always Titanic and it's always like this.
All right. So you're just reading snippets of To the Boys.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyways.
Sorry.
So I'm doing that. Once that's over, all of a sudden, I get texts from you, from the group, and I'm just like, what the F happened?
Yeah.
You saw it live.
Yeah, I saw it live with my wife.
I'm going to let you go through that live because I came into it obviously late to that. But why don't you talk about the live?
So, I mean, first quarter, both teams had, field goal, touchdown been scored, pass play across the middle, receiver turns up the field, defensive back tackles him, stands up over the top of him, and then literally looks like he got KO'd, like the giant falling. I mean, we've all seen the video. We're not going to play it here, but I immediately, you go into concussion, but I watched the play, and my personal immediate reaction was that this was worse than a concussion, from a standpoint of, like, he fainted or he passed out. Like, it wasn't the fetal position reactions that we saw, or even like this weekend we saw. We may or may not show the video on that. The Colts quarterback Foles, kind of like seizing or whatever he was doing on the field, and like you could tell this was worse than that, from like a paralysis perspective of, like, there was no movement.
He's just not moving.
Yeah, and so like he stood up. Like my eyes said, oh, and this was normal football play. And as people have watched, and you can agree or disagree whether to keep showing the video, and it's more so like there's nothing that's in the video that's really hard to see other than
it's because
what it led to,
yes,
type of thing. So it's more out of respect from that perspective. But my wife is watching and she's like, oh, what happened? And I'm like, I don't know. And so, like, we go back and rewatch it. They've gone to commercial the first time at this point, and I'm like, he got hit in the chest, unless as he fell back, like, he hit his head and you couldn't really see it in the first shot. You're like, okay, maybe
that was it.
But like, or initial, like, shock absorption of the tackle.
Yeah.
But I mean, guy's running sideways and then turns up the field. Like, he doesn't have, it's not like he's up top speed.
Right.
There's no shoulder pad into the, it's nothing crazy. And then it's just like, wow. Okay. And as soon as they came back the second time from commercial, the two things, one, obviously the ambulance is on the field at that point, but two, like, players' reactions. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, we've both been on the field when bad things have happened to people. And we both had injuries. I have personally been taken off the field in an ambulance before. Obviously my situation wasn't as dire, but at the time, I mean, I had shoulder pads cut off of me, a helmet cut off of me when I was in 8th grade. They thought I was bleeding out of my ears. Thankfully I wasn't. But I mean, I've been the person laying on the ground, knocked out, concussed, and ambulance off the field. I've also been the player at practice who has seen guys break legs. Unfortunately, I've seen concussions. So, like, we've seen it. We've been in person. So, like, you know the feeling where the color drains from your face, your heart sinks completely, and there's no way to hide that emotion. And specifically Josh Allen, I think as much as anyone, and obviously he's a superstar, so that was where focus was, you knew something was worse than concussion, broken leg, ACL, whatever it was. Now, obviously, we saw that too, that he fainted, but like, so now you know where I'm like, that's when the text went out, was like, I think this guy is dying or dead on the field.
And he technically was.
You know, obviously, like, trying not to cause a panic with the text that I'm sending. But, I had a couple of people that I sent it to and was just like, you weren't watching at the time, so I didn't get it. And I got maybe a 5-minute reaction from my other buddy that I had texted, and I was just like, okay, so like I'm just kind of having back, and she's like, well, how does something like that happen, my wife? And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Right. And like on the, where you're not getting anything from the television.
Not at that point, right?
Other than information that, whether you agree or disagree with how it was handled, or if they should keep going back to the shot, or if they should keep going back to the studio, like all of that stuff is honestly, like, does it really matter? No, that's what these people are paid for. And unfortunately they were put in a position that they probably weren't prepared for. And I think overall the situation was probably handled about as good as it could have been.
From the television standpoint, yes, not by the NFL. We'll definitely hit upon
which, a lot of it's going to be he said, she said, how it's handled by the NFL. The NFL just needs to have a better protocol in place. The thing that's tough with that is the NFL sees concussions every week. This looked and felt a lot like a concussion. As soon as it became more than that, whether it be a paralysis, a death, or anything like that, it's hard to see that and impossible to see that and play at any type of level or focus at any type of level where you're not putting yourself and everyone else on that field in danger by going back out there.
There would have 100% been more injuries. There's been no way around it.
And I mean, and even if there wasn't, it's not fair.
No.
It's not fair to
anybody.
Damar, and it's not fair to any of the players, not fair to any of the coaches, any of the fans. And you feel terrible first and foremost for Damar, for his family, who they're trying to get his mom out of the crowd to get to the ambulance. I feel a certain way about that, and that I hope that he was stable enough that those seconds didn't matter, because his mom, we could have got his mom to the hospital in a different way. Now that's
right.
Like,
I read it as it was a good thing.
The gesture was fine.
Well, I read it as he was stable, therefore they could wait. I'm really hoping that I'm not going to speculate on that. But like I'm gonna assume he was good to go, relatively speaking, so his mom could join.
Right, and that's what I hope for. And like from that perspective, I'm glad that they searched her out.
Yeah,
to find her, because like they showed, video pregame. I mean, he's obviously very close with his family. Family was down on the field, so all of that. And there's nothing worse than not knowing it. I mean, specifically as a family member, I mean, we all want to know, but I mean, honestly, we don't know the guy, so our day-to-day is not going to be affected like, his family's is. So like, that was good to see that thought process came about, and that they were able to get her there so she could be with her son. So, but yeah, that was the initial reaction to everything, and then at that point, I think about 2 or 3 more commercials in, I had seen what I'd heard enough,
right?
Actually probably before that, but finally we turned away and watched the show. I think my wife was a little bit more intrigued, at least initially, with like what was going to happen with the game and stuff like that. And honestly, I was like, if they do play the game, I don't want to watch. And it didn't do me any good to hear from other players, and because like I know that I've been there, and so they weren't offering me on a personal level any more insight to the feeling or the sincerity I should feel or how they shouldn't be playing the game. You know, and there's a lot of talk on Twitter and stuff like that. I specifically was checking back there more so just to see if there were any updates on him, which, you know, slowly stuff leaked in through the night. But I mean, besides that, all of the back and forth about different people's takes and everything like that, honestly, I could really care less. Journalistic timing is really everything. So the stuff that was criticized because of when it came out, not really what came out, in my opinion. And then, you know, everybody's got their opinion on how they feel about certain things on that. And that's why it's social media. Ultimately, the great thing that came out of it was over, you know, getting close now to $5 million raised to Damar Hamlin's charity, which goes for gifts to kids in very tough neighborhoods. So,
they're
great news on that.
And they're expanding more on that. His probably one of his best friends, but his marketing guy who I watched his interview on Pat McAfee's show 12:30, something like that, came out and said, I don't have any updates. What you have is what you have. The family, that's a family, up to the family to do that. That's not my job. But my job was I needed to find the password to that GoFundMe because that GoFundMe was from 2020. And he's like, I was afraid at that point, $3.5 million, we wouldn't have access to. He has access to it now. They've updated the description. Yes, it was originally for toys. Now it's going to expand to camps and just really all of the things that Damar wanted to do, just didn't have the resources.
You do have to realize that
camps and all those are coming into play.
This GoFundMe was originally set up with a $2,500 goal, like you said, back in 2020. It hadn't reached its goal.
No.
So this thing had not taken off
at all
in any.
Nope.
I mean, especially for a guy that, you know, even as a young guy, I mean, he's still making probably a couple $1 million. I don't know how much he's making a year, but like definitely a guy that would have enough to. He funded the GoFundMe on his own. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So
and
like,
just didn't take the page down, just left it.
And
like
he was still
did
doing it. Like we've seen in all the reports and stuff like that. A guy that's very involved with his community and has continued to be. So this GoFundMe was something he started when he got drafted, and
take off.
It never did, and now it got.
Now
rebooted.
It's
so
probably well over 5, I would assume. We haven't checked it. It will be in our description for this. We've posted it. We'll continuously do that to support him and what he wants to do, regardless of what his outcome is, football-wise. Now I've spoken to a couple doctors, Sean Slavin, a surgeon. He's the one who alerted our group to what the what it was. And here I'm going to look it up because I'm not a doctor. So I'm not going to be able to say this word very well. But commotio cordis?
Commotio cordis. That's what they're, I mean, I saw that listed. I mean, it's all relative to, you know, you don't know if he has anything pre-existing. You don't know. I mean, you just don't know anybody. So as far as the commotio cordis that you referred to is basically when you have a hard hit to the chest is where your heart, boom, like beats off your rib cage, for lack of a better term, or your spine, because of a hit. And there was a hockey player, and I just saw this at some point.
Yeah, I did it too. 25
years ago that had a puck hit him in the chest. I think they showed like guys getting hit with a baseball or anything like that.
Baseball happens.
This can happen too. So that's, just based on what people are seeing, kind of what people are thinking happened. Tough to know. And ultimately, like I say, we're not doctors. They're not, and ultimately it doesn't
matter. No.
Like, ultimately the guy almost died on the field.
He almost died. Clearly it's a freak accident. Is a very rare occurrence.
Oh, right.
Clearly, or else there would be a lot more happening. This is the first time in, I guess, modern day football we can say in the NFL that it's happened. Now it's happened in high school level. It's usually in younger male athletes that this type of thing occurs. So really it doesn't matter what it is or how. It's a fact that it happened. He had 9 minutes of CPR, which is
Crazy.
a long ass time. He was probably what everyone's saying in the second safest place for this to happen.
Yeah, besides the hospital.
Besides the hospital, because of all the doctors and all of the things that they have.
Basically, they had because they had to shock him.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, from a response time standpoint, there's one other place besides literally laying in the hospital
that you would get that treatment.
You would get that response time.
Right. Correct.
And that's the biggest thing in those moments, whether it's heart attack, stroke, anything like those, is response time.
Response time.
And that's kind of why I brought that up with the whole mom down to the ambulance thing, is that you hope that everything, again,
who knows? We're not
can only assume. And if you're waiting for a relative, at that point, there's some stability, and having a loved one there is definitely the greatest thing you can have.
Correct.
If you're stable.
Correct.
Obviously in critical condition. But if they had him, in a position where everything was good, to get his mom in there was great. So,
and let's, the importance of, like you said, family, time, speed of recovery and everything, getting there. I want to hit upon, like, as the team and, the speculation of NFL delaying the game, not delaying the game, saying you got 5 minutes to get ready, both teams saying F off, those types of things. The emotional standpoint when you look at Josh Allen is in Diggs crying and all of that. The one that we and I want to make sure everyone knows and it hits upon and supports as much as everyone else, probably a step below Damar, but damn the closest to it is T. Higgins. To be the player that caused, quote, quote, caused, like, I don't know. He was the one who hit him in the chest. We'll put it that way.
Right.
To be that player, no one could imagine what that feels like. It's got to be closest to killing someone without accidentally killing someone. Like, that would be the only one, how you guys can relate to that. I can't relate to that.
Right.
But I know he broke down and has tried, showed up to the hospital. I couldn't imagine being the one to put someone else in that situation.
Yeah. See, and I struggle with this. And here's the reason I struggle with it, because I watched Kayvon Thibodeau knock a quarterback into convulsions, do a snow angel on the field, and then do the put you to sleep signal on the sideline this weekend. So T. Higgins that's a complete accident. I mean, he's getting tackled.
Correct.
He's not going after anyone. And I understand from that perspective that he's going to feel bad, but I just don't know, unless you're T. Higgins, and you're not going to know, but I don't know that I would feel, remorse, or, like, each individual is going to have a different reaction to that. Yeah. And I think people have reached out, and everything that I saw was, absolutely not your fault, da-da-da-da-da.
Correct.
But we don't do that. My overall issue is, like, we don't do that to the guy who knocked the guy out. Like, who hit Tua and concussed him. We have no idea.
Right.
Did that guy feel any remorse? Or was he doing his job?
Good point.
And again, this is different because it come to a heart attack. We had a guy on the field we thought was dead. Yes. And technically was dead. Was dead. And was brought back. So, a life was saved on the field. You go back to Ryan Shazier when he got paralyzed on the field, and who he hit, and a lot of people will be like, well, he led with his head, so it was his own fault, or, and it's like, no, like, we're playing football here, and, like, nothing is anybody's fault. Like, everybody knows what they signed up for, and every NFL guy to a man, every college football player to a man, every high school football player
to a degree.
But I mean, once you get to a high school level, you've been in enough football.
Your parents know, everyone knows.
Right. You know what you're signing up for. And the guys that are making the most money
really know,
which are these NFL level guys who know it's an entertainment and a game.
In a game.
And life over a game. Again, last night we got it right. But, like, at what point do we start, does the blame thing and those types of feelings start to be more, is the light going to shine on that more when it's not necessarily life or death on the field? Like, when is the NFL actually going to start caring about player safety? And can you? Like, can you have this game and have player safety, or is it just an oxymoron?
That's tough. I think to a degree, you can have them both. Overall, it's an oxymoron. It's like war. And I'm not going to put us.
Gladiator thing is the thing that I've heard the most, just because the war thing is. I mean, I understand what they're trying to, but that's our entertainment. That's the 100,000 people in the stands.
It's
we've
gladiator,
got two teams on the field.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
people are expecting people to hit people hard. If somebody gets hurt, it's really not. I mean, people go to hockey games to see people fight.
Fights.
Everybody's.
I am one of them.
Right. I mean,
guilty.
Yes. Who doesn't like to see a big hit? Who doesn't like to see the hockey guys fight? Everybody wants the big play. There's repercussions for that. And I think last night, maybe for 3 hours, 5 hours, whatever, up until the next game's played, shows a little bit of light to that. They're like, hey, it is a game. People can die. It's more than people getting hurt.
They can.
And the concussion thing has led to a lot of conversations. And when it's not a concussion, I feel like people forgot how to react. Just because it's concussion. We've got the roughing the passer thing where we're laying guys down. We've got, but then we still have all of these guys getting concussions anyway, and it's just like, okay, obviously that isn't helping.
Correct.
Or is it, or would it be way worse? No way to know.
No way to know.
But that's the ultimate discussion, is that, when these guys enter the arena, their entertainment, what their profession is, what they're getting paid for, they're putting themselves, their lives, their bodies on the line.
Absolutely. Both now and in the future.
Right.
We know this.
When you go to work, you don't expect to get hit in the head, break a leg,
correct,
have someone hit you hard enough that it can cause some type of heart issue. But when they do, when they go to work, it's a hazard of the job.
Yeah.
There is a reason they get paid millions to hundreds of millions of dollars. If that is my hazard pay, then
so be it.
Right. But you also have to be sensitive within that to understand that these are still human beings.
Correct.
And that when we get to that line, that we understand. And that's why I said earlier, I mentioned journalistic timing on a lot of the reactions. And it's like all things can be discussed in a correct way and an incorrect way. And everybody has a different view on it. However, last night, at the time that guy's laying on the field, is not the time to discuss anything but whether or not that life is going to be preserved.
Yes. And
so I have as big a trouble with the people who are responding to the people they didn't like, just because at that point you've lost focus on what's important as well. And so just the whole snowballing of, social media and everything like that is errant in the first place.
Yeah.
Just because as soon as one person gets it off track, now everyone who is responding to that person is also off track.
And
you're not any better than
correct.
That guy now, in my opinion. And so that's where my issues lie with all of those things.
Yeah.
Knowing that we're going to go into today, we're going to discuss it. It's going to be the number one topic in all of news, radio, sports radio, podcasts, you name it. It's going to be what's talked about. You've got people not doing specific items today that they would as far as content goes, basically in condolences for
right.
All of these things that are going on. But at some point, Thursday's going to hit. I don't know if Saturday's going to hit, and we're going to have another football game.
And it'll be
Wednesday's
all
going to hit for those guys, and they're going to go back to practice.
Right.
And yes, that's going to be thought about. But I saw a tweet that was I believe it was Ryan Clark.
He
was the next step or the next snap on the football field is going to be the scariest one. And like, I don't know. I didn't know how I felt about it. Like, I understand what he's saying as far as there's going to be a huge exhale when that is done. Just because of the last one, it wasn't necessarily anything, it wasn't anything people don't do on a rugby field with no pads and no helmets.
Yeah.
He hugged a guy, tackled him, and this is what we were left with.
Literally a timing issue. But
like, it goes back to my football thought is that, like, no, these guys, like, when you go back out there, first of all, know that you're going back onto a football field. And if you're not ready to do that, then don't. And are most of the guys going to be ready? I think they are. But if you're not, then don't.
Yeah.
And don't feel like you're going to get judged for it. Don't, like, whatever it is, like, if you are in that mindset, then don't go on the football field is what my reaction was to the tweet that I saw. And I don't know how I felt about that. Like,
he's right and wrong at the same time. He is right for literally everyone watching.
Right.
Because I'm not going to practice on Wednesday.
Right.
Wednesday for those guys, that first hit.
And then
some of them
hit very much in practice.
It's just going to be, it's not even going to be a hit.
No, but it's just stepping back on a field.
Is going to be awkward at first.
Right.
Mainly for the Bills and the Bengals. I think
100%.
the other teams, it'll be weird at first. They're going to say something like guarantee in team meetings. Mm-hmm. But those two teams, for sure, that first practice back is going to be, it's going to take a few minutes to get into it.
Right.
Once they get into it, they're fine. They'll be locked in from Wednesday, half of Wednesday, or whatever you want to call it, on by kickoff Saturday. Not one player on the field, it will not register. And if it does, they're not playing. But it won't register then. It is game time, locked in. We know what we're doing. For fans,
it's got to be that way.
It has to be that way.
Let's be very clear about that. If it's not, like you said, they need to remove themselves.
Yes. And I think coaches will be very cognizant of it,
right?
Because that's a terrible situation. Mm-hmm. From Ryan Clark's tweet for fans, I do agree. They're not going to see a hit until the first game. Mm-hmm. They're all going to go,
all right.
Yeah.
Right.
And guess what? There might be someone get hurt on that first play, and we might not even see it.
Right.
And that's okay. And once that's over, we'll be back to relative normal. Right. So I think you got to look at it as a player one way, you got to look at it as a fan the other. The fans will do that. Players, Wednesday it'll be their time to lock in. We as players have always done that. Ours wasn't Wednesday. Would have been nice.
Right.
It was Tuesday for us.
Right.
Tuesday, locked in, good to go. Whatever happened, whoever's hurt, you got to get back on the field and do your job.
Right.
And that's what will happen Wednesday, and we'll move forward, which is great. We do need to move forward. We're all here for Damar. When he comes back, all the support. If he retires, doesn't matter.
Right.
The support is there for all players, current players, young players, older players, former players, fans. Just recognize the moment and recognize how important just life is.
Yeah, just how fragile it is.
It's very fragile.
I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. I mean, for me, that's a big thing that I took out of it.
Yeah.
Was just the fragility of life, and just seeing it on a national stage where millions, hundreds of millions, maybe at this point, hundreds of millions of people have seen that.
Come a playoffs. Oh yeah, by now,
because
absolutely.
Of social media, hundreds of millions of people watched someone die on a football field and get resuscitated in some way.
Correct.
Because we know that they had to resuscitate him. Like, that is what happened. Like, that's just a fact. And you don't see that every day. If you or I or someone we know at our workplace died of a heart attack, sorry, it's just not the same effect. Like, this just gives you a reality TV look at the fragility of life, and I think that goes a long way, and it sticks with people.
It does.
So the positives you can get out of that are, hey, do take a chance to take a deep breath, look around, appreciate what you have in front of you. do take a look at how the charity of millions of people has been able to, so take the positives from it. We know what the possible impacts of football are. And if you hate football and would never let your kid play football, this is not going to change that. And from the other side, if you saw what happened, it wasn't something that would have been out of the ordinary, that we haven't seen, specifically us, thousands of times on a football field. And for whatever reason, this time he didn't get to stand up, and hopefully he does this week, whenever it is, and that's ultimately all we can hope for. So that's just kind of a long-winded view though of what's happened over the last, basically 22 hours.
Right. Absolutely. Could not have said it better. Everyone, we went through something together. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, the world at this point, I don't know how many people it reached, but every one of those went through an event with trauma all together. Mm-hmm. We just physically didn't get hurt, but his mom saw the same thing we did. Everyone did this together. And the thing is, you got to recognize that, look around, realize those that are closest to you, and really move forward with good support, both for Damar, his family, and all those others that are in need. Mm-hmm. This is a time to reflect on that. And
it's beginning of the year,
yes.
Which I think there's a lot of reflection just in general, as a population. New Year's resolutions, obviously a big thing. Holidays, everything like that. People are having their own impact from all of those items coming together. And then this is your first Monday Night Football game after
all that
Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. So like 2 months of reflection, basically, new start,
Bam.
And so then you hit this with all of those emotions already running a little bit high, and in the biggest NFL game of the year up to this point, just as far as what was on the line and stuff like that, and boom. And so in a lot of ways, like, it's just it's a realization, it's an aha moment for a lot of people. I think they can be, let's take this and build off of it in any way that we can.
Absolutely. And in that, we'll move forward to college football. That is our NFL recap. It's the only thing that mattered, specifically in the NFL. College football is a little different. So we're going to get to that now, although my sheet's all messed up. So we're going to have to...
Please forgive Stoy for deleting all of our picks from the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He didn't mean it. It wasn't because we both sucked at college football, let's be honest, but your NFL picks were good-ish.
They were
okay-ish.
I got an upset.
Your best bets were good.
Best bets were great.
You hit the 999 best bet.
Yep.
So we won't do too much of a... I lost the NFL picks, so I will have a shitty shot for that. So I've got that on deck here. College football... You want to lead us into the playoffs here?
I don't. Okay. We started off with,
our picks were bad, but the games were great.
We started off with thinking that I'm gonna go back. Let me go back. Okay. Mm-hmm. Games that we had first: Tennessee, Clemson.
Yep.
Okay. I remember us sitting here going, this is probably going to be the best game of the week. We really like Tennessee's defense, all of those things. Well, we were completely wrong.
Yeah, because,
Tennessee, they could score quick, and they scored well. Their quarterback outshined Clemson's defense.
Yeah,
didn't show up. So that's how we started.
Yeah.
Then we roll into, and we had Bama K-State, which we absolutely nailed, although K-State came out hotter than I anticipated, but Bama was not going to have any of that. So now I'm thinking, okay, hey, 1 for 1,
right?
Roll into the weekend, feeling all right. Watched the Iowa team. That was fun for a little bit as a teaser going into this TCU Michigan game.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had said the semifinals games we believe are going to be boring and blowouts. We really hope it's not.
Yeah.
Well, we got what we really hoped for.
Yeah.
This Michigan TCU game, I mean, TCU could not have played a better game, in my opinion.
I mean, they turned the ball over 3 times.
Well, I mean, yes, turnovers, but like
no, game plan wise,
gameplay, they
physicality-wise,
took them out.
They were not outmanned.
They were definitely not outmanned. Now, to me, the game, this was where I did not agree with how Michigan started. To go for it, one, I don't know why you just weren't trying to run down their throat down on the goal line. Forget that. But to go for it there in a big game like this with a underdog, if you will, they stop you, you flip momentum for them. So I think a field goal should have been kicked there. Things
the bigger
little changed, but this game really for me came down to Michigan's stupidity from turnovers, play calling, scheme. It just was not good, top to bottom, and they still could have won this game and potentially should have won this game, if not for a not but touchdown and fumbling on the goal line and those things. So, and not taking anything from TCU, I'm just saying, they had their shot too.
Yeah. So I mean, as I look at this game, I look at that first drive. Michigan goes down. I have no problem with them going for it. However, the mistake, as you talked about in stupidity, right from the outset, is you run a trick play on 4th and 1, and as the powerhouse dominating, supposed to be able to dominate both sides of the line of scrimmage. That's why this game's going to get ugly.
You don't run trick play.
You don't run a trick play. You especially don't run a trick play at the beginning of the game. If you let the other team think that you need trick plays to win as an overwhelming favorite on the first drive, even if you get it, you have now set a mindset that you have to use something other than brute force and just an overall dominance, which everyone talked about you having, specifically you talked about you having, and then you didn't use it, and you didn't even attempt it. So it's one thing to get stopped. The way they got stopped was even worse. That set the tone for the rest of the game.
TCU at that point was no longer afraid. If they were, which by the way, that first drive you could have said they were.
Right.
But from then on, like you said, even if they would have got it,
no intimidation factor whatsoever.
Done. Game over. We're equals. If not, we're better. Good luck.
Come and get it. And then Michigan has the controversial play. It was a touchdown. Again, reffing affecting football games on the highest level. And they overturned the call, which was even more.
That was a damn touchdown.
Unbelievable. But then you have a fumble on the next play. You're just overthinking handing a ball to a guy that's a former linebacker in tight quarters, never gets the handoff, ball goes, TCU gets the ball back. Just, again, stupidity. Overcoaching, I think, is what killed Michigan. Now, TCU, later in the game, they have 2 interceptions. Both interceptions arguably should have been caught. One 100% should have been caught. So they gave some back a little bit. Both teams had a fumble in there. So really, I think that TCU, there was a call that went against TCU on a fumble where it could have been down, maybe wasn't, type of thing. So, overall, I didn't see enough that went against Michigan to take anything away from what TCU did to win that football game. And Max Duggan was good, but he wasn't Heisman.
No.
It wasn't anything crazy to where you saw like a one-man show that we've seen in these college football playoff games over the years and stuff like that, that we thought he would have to have in order for them to win the game. They were not mistake-free. They were not, and they competed. And I think ultimately that's the biggest thing for me. The biggest takeaway is they matched Michigan's physicality if we're not a more physical team as far as being able to dominate offensive line of scrimmage. They were a better, more physical team on the offensive front. Defensively is about 50-50. Neither team got a ton of pressure, so not really going to give it to one team or the other there. But TCU competed with Michigan the whole game. The score showed it. Both teams had 3 turnovers, which in a 51-45 game, the fact that there were 6 turnovers and you still had 96 points scored is like this could have been a 70-65 game.
Yeah, without even thinking about it.
Because they weren't really forced turnover. Like they were and they weren't. Like the plays happened, but they weren't just a team taking the ball away. Like they were kind of fluke turnovers. At least 4 out of 6 were fluke turnovers.
Yeah.
So correctable things, hopefully, for TCU.
That better be, in my opinion. But, I mean, it was a good game.
It really led us into the nightcap when you're just like, all right, man, I wasn't even ready for that next game to start. And we had people come over for New Year's, and I'm just like,
I need to breathe. I need something.
Right. I need a break.
And
then boom.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Right into it.
Yeah.
So that's, we didn't fare well. We'll just say we didn't fare well in Michigan.
I mean, we both had Michigan. And did we hit the over? I don't even remember.
One of these games I had the under on. I don't know which one, but I think this was the one we hit the over. I took the under in this one, I believe.
Okay.
Which, again, we'll get to. But here we go. Then we roll right into. It's like 15 minutes. I think it was not enough time to even really
literally catch your breath. That was all.
And here we go. So Georgia, Ohio State. We had said it that this game, Georgia should dominate, can dominate, depending on how Ohio State's offense plays. They have not really shown much against much people. However, we know that Georgia's defense is not ultimately where the Georgia's defense was before. We did know that Georgia could score, just what was going to come up of it, right? And so first drive, Georgia's defense stands up. Second drive, Georgia drives down, gets a missed field goal. Now I'm like, okay, we're going to get into a nice little match. And then we just went off. From there, races taking off. Overall, just from a statistic standpoint, which I'm not a statistics guy, but I believe Stroud, I don't know where he was on people's draft boards. He definitely made himself money. 23 for 34, 348 yards and 4 touchdowns. And was just picking them apart, although there was a lot of blown coverages. And Stetson Bennett, I don't know why people don't talk more about Stetson Bennett. Maybe he's short, he's old. I don't get it. He's like a Drew
too little.
Drew Breezy to you.
I don't think he has the arm strength.
23 for 34, 398 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. It was just a really, really good game.
Yeah, I don't know how Ohio State lost this game.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, I went back.
Besides coaching, of course.
Like I said, we had people over, so I was more distracted during this game than I was the other game, just as far as in ebbs and flows. I watched the second half again. Ohio State choked. And I'd like to be able to put my finger on it a little bit more as far as Marvin Harrison Jr. went out of the game. And so you don't have that factor as far as elite receivers. Ohio State's down, a couple receivers, tight end, whatever it may be.
Yeah, but at that point.
But, I mean, it shouldn't.
At that point, because if he would have caught a touchdown, well, we're going to get to that, don't worry. But at that point, still 38-24 with 5 minutes left in the third.
Yeah, I mean, fourth quarter, they were up 2 scores.
Yeah, I mean, they're up 11 2 minutes into the fourth quarter. So I get that, not having him sucked, but you had the points were there already.
Right. I mean, you gave up that, and Georgia just – the thing – and that's the scary part about – this is the scary part about Georgia is Georgia looked pedestrian. Again, they have athletes all over the field. Guys can make plays, explosive plays. I mean, you had a completely blown coverage to get the game back to, I think, 38-35 or 38-32, somewhere in there. I don't remember if they kicked the field goal before or after. But, I mean, literally a guy ran down the sideline, guy fell down, and there's nobody there. You had a couple of plays where their running back literally just ran through the defense, and it looked like the defense was standing still.
Yeah.
So, you have elite athletes, and so, when you watch those plays, you're like, wow, okay, that's why Georgia's so good is because they can afford to play bad and win. But, Ohio State has to win that game. Like, you can't play as well as their quarterback played and as well as their team played in general and lose that football game.
I want to know this. Your quarterback played one of the top games you could play in the semifinals probably ever. Hotter than hell. Mm-hmm. I know one of your receivers is out. That's fine. It doesn't matter. He is hot.
Yeah.
He's going to make it happen.
Let him make a play.
That last drive, you took the ball out of his hands and just said, meh.
Once you got to 35 or 30, basically.
Yeah. You just said, why?
Coaches just get so comfortable of not, and it's not comfortable. I think coaches get scared. You're in field goal range. You do not want to take yourself out of field goal range. The only way in their mind to do that is to drop back and pass, knowing that I can be sacked. You've got to trust the guy that finished, third in Heisman votes, second in Heisman votes, wherever he was, and was
in Fuego. I don't even know.
400 yards, 4 touchdowns, hadn't turned the ball over, maybe had been sacked a couple times all night. I mean, roll him out.
Yeah. You got to think about the defense. I can't bring pressure on you.
Right.
You're sitting in field goal range.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, a longer field goal.
Right.
I want you to stop there.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to run the ball into the teeth of my defense.
Right.
I don't want you to drop back and pass because I can't come blitz you. If I do, I'm putting so much pressure back there.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
You played to kick a field goal 45-plus yards to win a game.
Awful.
And granted, your guy had hit a 48-yarder, I think, already.
I don't care.
But you put all of the pressure on one guy.
No, it's 3 guys. Okay, I didn't
snap,
even
hold, kick.
I didn't even look at the snap or the hold.
You couldn't. There's not
Something
any
good. There was no good angles to me. I couldn't find
the
it.
Plant because he planted his foot really close to the ball when you see, and so
okay, so
as far as getting a swing, your swing was either going to be
because the way he missed it.
Oh, I mean,
was not a kick problem. There was something mechanically between snap, hold, or. And I never saw his plant foot, but maybe it was plant foot. Some timing thing was not right.
I think that the pressure got to him.
I easily could have. I just don't know the other two.
Standing on 18 and a 2-stroke lead. And he had an 8-iron in hand and
shanked the 8-iron.
He shanked it.
Yeah, into the water.
Yeah, it didn't even get to the water. It's rolling up behind it. I mean, he kicked a 48-yard field goal, 20 yards left and 30 yards down the field.
It was so bad.
I mean, there was not even they celebrated as the ball came off his foot. There wasn't even any of did it or you couldn't even it was the most anticlimactic game-winning field goal situation that I think I've ever seen because of how bad he missed it.
That's
and then literally at midnight.
It was.
So there's the split screen. I'm sure that you've
we
seen.
Have it. Oh, I think we have it in the Twitter. It's so cool. That's
where as the
clock strikes midnight,
which midnight Eastern time.
Yeah. You shanked it to lose.
You shanked it, and so you've got Stetson Bennett running out at midnight, basically.
The whole celebration.
Yeah, I mean it worked well together, but yeah, I just. Ohio State, if you asked me, I would have said on that night, Ohio State was the more deserving, better football team. And they had a kick to win it. So, let's not act like Stroud didn't get them down there and give them a chance to win, which he did. And that was a back-and-forth game like that in the fourth quarter to where, team that has the ball last wins unless you botch the kick. And they botched the kick. So, not the same as, I thought – TCU deserved to win against Michigan the way those two teams played, and I thought Ohio State deserved to win. But nonetheless, Georgia prevailed, and they are now 13.5-point favorites against TCU, which we'll talk about that, but that doesn't make any damn sense to me.
But, hey, great semifinals. Yeah. Everyone's saying can't wait for a 12-man. Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
12-team playoff is going to show more of these. Mm-hmm. There'll be blowouts, obviously, but it's just the excitement of these games. When we had these 2 games marked as, I don't think they're going to be close. Vegas was right again. Good job, Vegas. You're doing pretty well. But that was college football. No. Back up. We'll go back. I got to talk about 2 games. 3 games. I'm going to start with LSU Purdue. Did you see that happening? 63-7?
No, but
That's ridiculous. I just had to mention
it's
that.
just one of those things that once the snowball starts rolling
It was
downhill
bad.
in those bowl games, it can get ugly.
Now,
fast.
the game we did pick, though, Penn State, Utah. And we Goonlocked, I'm pretty sure, on Utah.
Yep.
Good for Penn State.
I mean, Penn State had
Good for Penn State.
2 plays or 2 drives in which they scored touchdowns of 95 plus yards. On those 2 drives, they scored touchdowns of 85 or greater yards. So they ran 2 plays and I think 3 plays on the other one for touchdowns, which ended up putting the game away. And then Utah's quarterback got hurt, which would have been their only chance of coming back.
Correct.
Would have been having him in. So the game got really anticlimactic really quick in what was a good game for 2.5, almost 3 quarters. 2.5 quarters basically. So that made a big difference. I did not see Penn State having 2+ 80-yard touchdowns against the Utah defense. So kudos to them. Yeah,
for them.
Good win. I don't care for
Did you
Penn
watch
State
the
or their
Tulane
coach. So
USC?
Yeah.
That ending was absurd.
Yeah, I watched that game
That one
pretty
was-
much in its entirety. USC is terrible on defense. They can't tackle anyone. Everything else is fine. Obviously, their quarterback play is really good and their offense is really good. But
this sequence at the end of the game, because I really tuned in.
this is a Power 5 team up 16 points with how long?
15. It was 15 points with like 4 minutes left.
With
Because
4
this is
minutes
when I
left.
tuned in.
Against Tulane.
Yeah, I tuned in at this point. They kicked the field goal to go up 15 with like 4 minutes, 4 minutes.
So at this point, it's 45-30 with 4:20 left or something.
Somewhere in there, right? And I'm like, well, this kind of get out of hand. They're not going to do anything. And then all of a sudden, Tulane, and I'm not 100% sure how that happened, but USC gives up just a bomb. And then, Tulane walks right into the end zone. I'm like, okay, 8 points, 3 minutes. It's still it's still a long shot. Right. USC just needs to go down, maybe kick a field goal, waste a bunch of clock, whatever.
Mind you, USC's offense has been driving up and down the field the whole game.
There should be no problems.
Yep.
Except for their return guy calls a fair catch and just like bloop, bloop, right out of bounds. On the 2, doesn't matter. Just bloop, bloop, right out of bounds. Yep. And I'm like, how? What? How in the hell? You could have let the thing. There were so many other things that could have happened, but that one thing. So now they're on the 2 or 1. I don't care. I'm thinking, okay, you've got Heisman winner. You've got weapons. You're always in shotgun. Stupid. So I'm thinking, hey, they're going to throw out of this situation because you damn sure don't want to get a safety. Clearly, running the ball downhill right now is not a good idea. Let's just couple quick passes. Let's get some breathing room, long punt, let your defense try to win it for you. No, it's not what they do. No, they go zone read twice in a row for safety.
And the safety was like 3 yards deep in the end zone.
It wasn't
was
close.
No doubt safety.
It was so bad that Caleb Williams tried to then take the ball from his running back who was getting driven backwards because
and try to get out of the end zone.
His only shot was to do that.
Right.
Okay.
Well, here's the other thing. If you feel like you need to run the ball, sneak the damn thing 3 times and kick it.
Yes.
You can't lose yards.
Worst, you get, you're at the 2. Great.
Now I got to punt it.
No. These were shotgun snaps.
Yep.
Okay. So now, guess what? You had an 8-point lead. You have a 6-point lead. Guess what happens when they score a touchdown? You're most likely losing the game. All right. So that happens. And Tulane just methodically just goes down and really no problems. When they started this drive, I was just like, besides it starting with a sack, they were not putting a spy on Pratt, and he was just gonna get whatever yards he needed to get the entire drive.
Yeah,
all the way down.
Yeah, 12. It was like 12 plays, 3.5 minute drive.
Yep.
To end the game.
I
mean, they didn't even give Caleb Williams a chance.
And you
like,
just
that
see,
was the thing.
And you
just
see
like,
Caleb wins on the sideline, just like,
yeah,
I'm not.
Like at that point, like you just wanted to let him score just so that you can get the ball back if you're USC. Like, just don't put me at the 1 yard line and we'll go win the game.
Good Lord.
So,
now, Vegas had 1.5 SC being favorites. So they knew something, but wow. Good for Tulane.
Yeah.
Good for college football.
The big
USC, welcome to the Big Ten.
USC, really choked it off there.
Yeah. All right. So that's our college football recap.
A lot of amazing, exciting bowl games, and then college football playoff to top it all off with college football really delivering over the weekend and through bowl season, honestly.
What's happening? Oh, yeah. Smith. All right. Let's get into our Twitter feed, which is always fun. Always a good one.
Diving in.
Always good to have.
We got a lot of like funny-ish clips, I guess, this week.
Why won't you let me click?
So at first appearance here, nothing real crazy. Nobody gets hit. Guy throws the ball. This is in.
Okay, so where are we looking? Let's let everyone know. We're looking here.
Yep, guy lined up right over.
Okay.
Offensive tackle.
Okay, and in he's going to be running a stunt. Who cares what the name of a stunt is? Doesn't matter. Ultimately, he's running a stunt, so he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, right? Going to the inside shoulder, doing all that stuff. There was a problem, though. The problem
is nobody blocks him.
Oh, come on. All right. His issue is his field awareness, the fact that you showed this, and I was like, what are you talking about? It was a great throw and catch.
I don't even think that he was running a stunt, because where's the guy that's stunting inside of him?
Oh, my God.
Because that's what I was looking for.
He thought they were.
I was waiting for
the stunt would have been him to come in.
That's what I'm saying.
And they slid and left him.
Yeah, but he didn't stunt. The outside guy didn't stunt.
Someone
like he was
effed up.
Right.
Either way, there was a.
They dominated the left tackle.
Yeah, which by the way,
to no avail.
Yeah. Jake Matthews, good luck. You had no chance in hell here. Like, what are you going to do here? Like, screw it. You did your job. You blocked them both.
Got them both.
Left guard sliding. This is great. This is all good. Pass pro. Now, that being said, as funny as is this a rookie quarterback? Did he make this call, you think, or did the line?
Well, here's the problem I have you've got
1, 2, 3, 4. You got running back over here.
Yeah, so you've got the running back on the right side. There's no way you're not sliding left in this protection.
Exactly.
6.
It's a numbers game.
6 is the mic. The center should have a call.
You got 6 on
Louis.
Good to go.
The center's taking the guy right over the top. 68 sliding to 10. 70's got the outside.
You've got outside.
There, and then running backs checking inside out just in case number 6 gets a free run for some reason.
Correct.
And then he's going to help, on anybody else that might come through there. Like, technically in this, he would have the linebacker.
Yes, that's where he would be looking to, which I'm pretty sure he does.
So I don't.
Yeah, he does. He looks and then tries to get out.
I think it's 68 probably there that screws up, because he's the only one who doesn't.
To be fair, that's our weakest position. If you're a Falcons fan, it's a problem.
So, but everybody else was kind of sliding right. But they would have had to just because of the alignment. So that should have just been.
Anywho, free run at a quarterback, and you.
He had the opportunity to go hit a guy in the, just didn't do it.
You just tapped out.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not the one I wanted to click. Come on. Oh, there we go. Everything's just slow. We're just gonna watch
just a big hit,
just a big ass hit. I love every part of it. Everything legal.
Yep, turn the shoulder. Just a little guy too.
Just
that
a
probably
little guy.
Weigh 170, 175 pounds.
Receiver caught the ball. It's a win-win-win across the board, in my opinion. except for
except for his ribs.
Except for his ribs,
Well,
and just
he got the ball on the way there.
that hurt.
The mouthpiece came out.
Let's just say though that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around the fact that this hurt.
Yeah,
this hurt.
No doubt.
And KU lost the game.
They made a valiant comeback.
They did.
Because they were getting destroyed.
Yeah. Great. That jumped all the way up to December 12th. Oh boy, we're gonna have to work our way backwards. How did that happen? Because we send a lot.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on with the feed right now.
I'm not either. Good Lord.
There it is. Start going through and then
organizing.
Doing a show folder.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
No, don't want that one. Oh, these are all talking points.
No.
I had to what is this? Is this real?
I don't think so, but I mean, who knows?
The fact that I saw it multiple times, I'm like, there's no way. No way.
Terrell Owens is definitely known for.
He still looks like he's in shape. Let's just be real.
Right. Basically begging to get back in the NFL, and has been for 10, 12 years now. However long he's been out, even.
It's been a long time.
He's 49. So, allegedly, Jerry Jones and Terrell Owens' team had been in contact, but not.
I think it's contact. I don't think they're contact.
Yeah, I mean, don't think that there was anything to that. So,
let's see. What the hell's that? I remember what that was.
This was before the Thursday night game. So Dallas played Tennessee on Thursday night, and the first touchdown scorer is a very popular bet for people to take. What person for a team will score the first touchdown, and they actually had no Tennessee touchdown being scored as the not only a bet, but which I don't know if it's a bet usually, and it's just so far down you don't get to it.
Yeah,
but
it's usually that.
But it was the number one pick for Tennessee because of who they were playing and playing against, as far as just not having anybody in the game, but their offense was actually in better hands once they got a guy off a practice squad from the Lions than it was in Malik Willis's hands, as it turns out. So, yeah. So,
can't wait for that off season. Jerry Jeudy tweeting, I ain't gonna keep looking at these false statements about my boy Russ, man. As a teammate who sees the elite work ethic this man has is incomparable. He got in office because he's committed to his life to this game. I never had a teammate who motivated me more than Russ. I don't see anything. I put this out here just because, you did. And I agree. Like a teammate's gonna back him up. There's no way that Jerry Jeudy was gonna come out and say something else. In my opinion.
Yeah, but he didn't have to say anything.
He didn't have to say anything.
And nobody was asking him to say anything.
But I don't think a lot of the questioning has been around his work ethic or anything from a player situation. It's just performance.
Well, I mean, from you and I, it's performance. I think there's a lot of, again,
You're not wrong.
Get off of Twitter.
Basically, yeah. I mean, because performance-wise, that's
just a lot of trolls.
He's still
all the Russ gonna cook memes, all that type of stuff. It wears on you throughout a season.
Yeah,
especially when your team sucks, you're gonna have these reactions. So Russ said a lot of good things in that press conference after, and has actually done well for himself this week, just as from a look standpoint. But it I guess was good to get.
Yeah. So we're going to go back to this roughing the passer thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many times, how long, how many years we have to do it for, but
hey, that's how you don't get blocked and run right to the quarterback.
Correct.
For those scoring.
Because
this is exactly what happened.
It's the same play.
It's the exact same play.
But I think this one was actually a stunt, maybe. Anywho,
no. I don't think it was.
Oh, no, they just overloaded.
They just overloaded. They just didn't slide. Again, though,
they just slid the wrong way.
Slide.
Anyways, how is this roughing the passer?
Right there. I mean, I'm telling you what they're calling. I know
what they're calling.
I don't agree with.
They're saying putting his weight on him.
But as soon as he, so, I mean, do you want the answer, or do you as soon as he does that, they're gonna call. As soon as he tilts, that's the driving thing that they're talking about. And again, completely disagree. But that's exactly what they're looking for. As soon as he lifts up, right here, so he's lifting with that left shoulder, and he's gonna drive, boom. And even though the thing that he did, he even tried to put his weight down on his right hand. I agree.
That's what I was like, what is he, I think he was like,
no, it's not fair to defenders at all, 100%, because as soon as he does that, and I don't know if we put it on here.
The play, I hope we did.
Okay. There's a play that happened this week where the guy stopped tackling the quarterback.
Because of it.
Actually, I don't even think he stopped. He just didn't ever start tackling.
No, he hit him.
But he didn't no. And the quarterback threw the ball. And that's what's going to happen to these defenses, and it's not fair to the defense.
So same
thing. And you see when he lifted to drive there, it's the exact same thing. When he does that, which is how you're taught to finish a tackle, that's what they called on the other guy because he was standing up.
He didn't get called.
He didn't get called because he was laying down. The quarterback was down, and the player was down low. So it doesn't look as egregious because they're not.
But it's
But that's all it is. They're not starting from. And I do not agree with it. But that's what they're calling, and it's going to continue to show up again and again and again.
Stupid. Happy birthday, Tigger. Put that out there.
47.
47. I just want to make reference to the fact that what is going on? That we loved
Alan
Zard counting in the block. We blew that one.
That was worth $10,609.
Are you serious?
Yep.
No one could have ever said that was taunting. Not a person.
Nope.
Because he wasn't. He was counting. Is it bad to count? You put this one up there. Man,
this was, as we were getting just slaughtered in our college football bets. Clemson was down at halftime, and the game was still relatively close at half, maybe 10-3, 13-3, or something like that. Clemson had 273 yards against Tennessee in the first half and scored 3 points. So, way to go.
That's
Clemson.
Just impressively bad.
Yeah, I mean, they moved the ball well within the 20s and then couldn't make a field goal or get it in the end zone. So,
all right, quarterback. You threw up a quarterback stat about starting quarterbacks.
I did. Starting quarterback list. This is the list of guys you've never heard of. Is that
Whoa, hey. For a couple of them. But, yeah, no, you're right.
So, Jarrett Stidham started for the Raiders. David Blau.
Anyways, started for the Cardinals.
Started for the Arizona Cardinals, which that would be the third and fourth string quarterbacks for their respective teams on the year. Josh Dobbs, as I mentioned earlier.
Well, Blau wasn't on the roster at some point either. Either was Dobbs. But Stedham was, right?
Yeah, but he would have still been their third string quarterback.
Yep.
Josh Dobbs got picked up from Detroit to start in Tennessee as their third string guy. Desmond Ridder, second string guy. So that was
rookie.
Nick Foles, third string. God. Davis Mills, starter, but he starts for the worst team in football. Teddy Bridgewater, backup. Carson Wentz. I feel like that experiment's finally over.
Yeah, it has to be.
After this weekend.
I don't agree with Mike White.
I like
the way he plays. I like that.
Well, that's fine. I don't have a problem with.
Just not good name.
Yeah, I mean, this
is a name.
A backup. Baker Mayfield, a former number 1 pick, but
all over the league.
I mean, he now is a backup for the Rams. Kenny Pickett,
rookie,
best guy on the list.
Yeah.
Based on end of game performance. Yeah, and then Andy Dalton, who's also actually played pretty well this year for the Saints.
Yeah.
So your favorite team. But yeah, that's those were 3, 6, 9, 12 of the 32 starting quarterbacks.
Over a third of the league
was backup and or
rookies.
Yeah. Well, and besides Davis Mills, Davis Mills might be the only guy on that.
That's not a backup.
It's not a backup. But none of those guys have played every game this season.
No.
Or even anywhere
not even close.
Because Mills has even been out.
And the closest one would be Dalton and Pickett.
Yeah, but I mean,
closest.
Both of them have had injuries even in between. Yeah.
Jeez. All right, here we go.
So here is the
infamous non-touchdown.
Non-touchdown by Michigan. Early in the TCU Michigan game, but they fumble on the play after this, so it's a killer because it's taking 7 points off the board. Not just making them run another play. Somehow this was ruled a touchdown is the worst part. So there's just
seen it so many times.
I don't know what you're seeing there to overrule because this is overturned. And what they're seeing is this, which
they call it now
down, and there's no control.
But there's still no control till he's in the end zone.
But and then the thing is, so there's control there, and he's clearly
in the end zone.
In the end zone, as it appears. Again, to me,
this is the closest we have to live speed. And look at this. There's no way you could not call that.
Right. The biggest thing to me is just that, whatever call you made on the field, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing there to overturn that call, in my opinion. And I would feel like a very big majority of everyone else's opinion. So
now, don't fumble the next handoff.
Right.
But that's tough.
Punch it in like you're supposed to.
That's a damn touchdown.
So
here it is. Here's the celebration we talked about earlier. I don't know what's happening.
This is the countdown. We don't need to do it from 27, but end of the game.
But we're here.
Everybody's running onto the field. Less than 20 seconds to go before
the ball drops.
The ball drop on ABC.
Kicker's setting up.
As we
got 10 seconds now.
Down to 5.
Here comes the
snap.
Kick.
The hold.
And
I'm not calling that a kick.
The shank and celebration madness. It's 2020. Oh wait, no. We're going to the championship.
What is that? We're going to the ship. So Georgia wins.
That's insane. And just the timing.
Yeah, the timing.
Silly.
Impeccable.
That's silly. And whoever was doing this, did that, put that together.
Yep.
That's just impressive.
A good edit there.
All right. This is one of the controversial things that happened this weekend. And when I first saw it, by the way, and I can't pause ever. All right. When I first saw it, I thought.
So this is Kayvon Thibodeau coming off the edge, blitz against Nick Foles. And
I originally saw it. I was like, sweet. Greyhound quarterback. Love it. Yeah. Didn't mind. Actually, I didn't mind the celebration because this is the clip I saw because he sent it. Didn't mind it at first because there's no way he knows what's going on.
No, he's not celebrating that.
It's when I learned later. Now he looked over. Now it's from here, and then what I learned.
And his own guys are trying to get him off the field, mind you.
So and that had to have hurt. Who knows what happened to him?
Well, I don't know I think he landed on the ball, but what I can't see, he's the way that he's kicking and shaking. Is it I don't know what. I never did hear. Did you?
No, I
ever
never
hear what the injury was?
No.
Also, you want to talk about roughing the passer from a ref view perspective? You can't put more weight on a guy than he did there.
Agreed.
And I don't even think it's a remotely egregious hit.
No, but that's roughing that's more roughing than the other two we just watched.
Oh, 100% because he lays on him.
Which caused this injury,
which was the whole conversation thing to begin with that we're even having it. But
here we are.
So and even up to that point a little bit, I don't have this is celebration. Whatever, he doesn't know the guy's there. That guy celebrates with him. Now his guys come over and they're trying to get him up and away. That's fine.
Time to go.
My problem is there is an extension of this in which he goes to the sideline and does the whole put to sleep celebration on the sideline.
That's it. That's ended it for me.
After knowingly injuring someone, whether, again, not egregious, not anything. There was nothing there that I would tell him to change. But we have to have a little tact. And like that's where I lost it for me, was just like the fact that like, okay,
I agree. And that's where a big fine's going to come.
Right.
He's going to get a $25,000 fine. Right. You'd have to for that.
You would think.
If he doesn't and he gets like a $10,000 and it's the same as Lazard, I will.
Same as this?
Yeah, well, probably will, because it's NFL and they're just stupid. This, just
it's that dominant Saints defense,
I'm scrolling through and I go, what the hell? This can't be real. So I had to switch to the game, figure out what was going on. First quarter stats in the Saints-Eagles game. 44 rush yards to 0, 59 pass yards to 2, total of 103 to 2. Offensive plays 22 to 3, time of possession 12 minutes and 52 seconds to 2 minutes. You would be thinking I'm saying the Eagles. No, the Saints just dominating the first quarter. Yeah. Really more than that. But what? You had one possession?
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord.
Yeah, the Eagles
just love stats. Those are fun.
Yeah, not a good look for the Eagles there. This is a middle school boys basketball game.
Yes, we're showing you basketball.
3 seconds on the clock. Kid gets stuck at half court. Has no other attempt or way to get the ball to the hoop other than just slinging it backwards over his head, and nothing but net to win the game. 29.
Two things I love 28. About this. Two things I love about this. Watch the kid. He never turns. He just keeps leaning back to watch it.
No, yeah.
Love that. Well,
I mean, he has the dexterity.
Yeah, I would have felt.
As a 12 to 13-year-old kid.
That's one thing I loved about it. The other thing is I just love the overall score. It's 28-26.
Right. I mean, this was more than like a tenth of the points in the game. Like, they only got to 29. He got 3 of them right there.
To win it.
My guess is there might not have been another 3-pointer attempted, and probably most likely not made. The ref at the end cracks me up. Not the one next to him, the one at the end. He's like watching this ball go up, and it's like he jumps.
He's excited.
Like, oh my god! So cool moment for that kid. Yeah. He'll forever have his highlight moment now. That'll be blasted over Twitter. I'm sure it's a top 10 play on ESPN and stuff like that. So
if there's plays you want us to review, highlights, all of that stuff, send it to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead. DM us. We're all about that. I don't know what that was about, but
week 18?
Yeah, we'll get to week 18.
Yeah. We'll cover that. Huge play. After the Panthers gave the Bucs every chance to win this game by just not covering anyone down the field in the passing game. They had this opportunity where the punter just completely botched himself and then somehow gets that kickoff right-footed under a guy and down at the 2-yard line. So
many things the Panthers could have done here. One, get him down now.
Yeah.
Or now. Or this guy, hit the ball. What are you doing?
I have no idea.
Actually, he could have laid out and just destroyed the punter because there's no roughing the punter at this point. Game over on that one.
No, that's not true. There's still roughing the punter.
He could have got the ball.
It doesn't matter. As long as he hits the ball. But if he just hits the punter and doesn't hit the ball, it's roughing the punter still. He's still a punter, not a runner.
Hit the ball.
Well, I agree.
But hit the ball. What do you do? What was he doing?
More impressive, I guess.
More impressive on the punter.
More impressive that the punter gets the punt off, or less impressive that the Panthers didn't find a way to get the punter down.
That's a tough one, but I'll give kudos to a kicker.
Yeah.
Give punter love right here. A little punter love.
Athlete.
Yeah. Won the game. Yeah. Won the game with his athletic ability.
35 seconds left in that game. If he doesn't get that punt off, Panthers have a chance to score and win. But not to be. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. We left him out to dead.
Just gross. They're not playing well, though, so let's not. Rodgers is playing better. Brady's not playing well.
Sorry, that laugh was because we've got the video running now of the new Commanders mascot, which is a giant, overweight pig cartoonish
The helmet
with an Army helmet.
Now I get
in Commander's colors.
I get what they were trying to do, right?
Correct.
They lost the whole Redskins thing.
Yeah, but the problem
However
is
you
the
feel about
mascots
that.
these days in general are cartoonish.
Correct. But like they were going back to their roots of, the hogs and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you went with Major Tuddy.
Major Tuddy is his name.
And
he looks like a joke. He looks like they played.
Like, I get the whole big thing, but you went with the hips. You even went tighter on the hip. This bad.
It's a fail.
It's not good.
It's a fail.
Not good. Dude couldn't even get in a 3-point stance. Get out of here. Get out of here. This one felt good. This one made me watch a little golf on YouTube. This marks the last weekend until late August without PGA Tour golf. We've got final rounds for the next 24 weekends.
34.
34.
Yeah.
I can't read.
That's fine.
34 weekends.
Yeah.
PGA Tour golf. And
Bang,
all the Mondays with Tigray and Rory.
Yeah.
Golf's coming into play.
Straight to the living room. Injected in my veins.
My veins. That means golf season's coming soon.
Oh,
Here it is.
It was earlier in that same game. I didn't realize that.
Here it is.
So Foles goes back to pass. Linebacker jumps up.
Oh, would you play?
Hits him. Lets off. Because he thought the ball was thrown.
I'm glad it was incomplete. I'm so
and
glad
then
it was
throws
incomplete.
an incompletion. But
what is he supposed to do? He can't take him to the ground there. Like, how would you take? You'd have to either one, pick up and put down, or you'd have to throw, which are roughing the passer right now, currently.
Well, sometimes. Not in the Chiefs game either.
He thinks the ball's thrown, so he clearly isn't going to continue because if the ball's not in
he
his
doesn't
hand,
even like continue with a push, like to push him to the ground.
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. This is what you're going to see more of.
Yeah.
And this is not good for the
Also not football. Might as well pulled his damn flag.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. Hate to see it.
You really do. Just more Viking stuff. I gotta love those. That team, man.
Another terrible.
The
game
more I
this
see
weekend.
them, the more I think they actually might get bounced in the first round.
Oh man.
Their defense is, we keep saying fraudulent, but now their offense is.
I mean, they
Not
haven't
there?
been able to really block anybody.
No.
They can get pressure all year.
The
So
Vikings are 12-4. Their point differential is -19. The Raiders are 6-10. Theirs is -5.
yeah, we're talking about a team who sent their starting quarterback home. Their franchise quarterback, they sent him home so they don't have to pay him. Who has a 14-point, a 2-touchdown better point differential than the NFC North champion Minnesota Vikings, who have a 3-touchdown point differential, not in their favor. If they don't win a playoff game, which does not look good, they will be the most fraudulent team in NFL history, if they aren't already.
They're definitely debatable, but they don't win one playoff game. I mean, to me, yeah, if they don't win one playoff game, biggest frauds ever.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I don't think anybody can.
And chips may fall in the offseason.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's, I don't know who, but something will happen. I mean,
defensively,
that's bad.
something's going to have to.
They should anyway, regardless of what they do. That's, there it is. There it is.
So we talked about
the special play. All right. I might bring that up when we get to the.
There's I
swear I clicked it.
I put a longer one in there that had more of the matchups, maybe.
Okay. Well, we got more roughing the passer.
Yeah. So first one is not from this year. This is from several years ago when Chris Jones in a playoff game got called for roughing the passer shoulder. Because he hit him in the shoulder. This is against the Broncos.
Now, a suplexed him, which is, as we know, roughing the passer. But it wasn't called.
Yeah.
Top one called. How? No idea, except for it's Brady. Bottom one.
The only one that you can say for sure breaks all of the rules of roughing the passer
It's the bottom one.
is the bottom one of all the ones we've seen today.
Yeah. Was not called. Top one.
I mean, he spins him, he turns him, he picks him up, and then he slams him into the ground with his weight on him.
He everything. First of all, I don't know how Russ got this ball away.
He's just Russ.
Let's put it that way. Yeah.
But again, even
That's
that,
an issue.
like, I have an issue with being
It's a
roughing the
huge
passer. Like,
yeah. Okay. So this was a big thing, targeting, and this is what knocked out
Marvin Harrison.
Yep.
Yep.
Junior right here. You have it in slow-mo, and I'm just going to let it play again. This is not us being choppy. This is actually slow-mo.
Yeah.
Ends up looking like it's a concussion, but where's the targeting? Shoulder?
Shoulder, no helmet to helmet at all. Neither one of their heads hit each other. So either what you can't see on any of the views that I have watched is if his head slams to the turf after he gets hit, or if it's from the whiplash there. But like his head didn't even whip that much.
Shoulder. That's clean.
Yeah.
And they not overturned it. They did not.
No, they overturned it.
Well, it's not called overturned, whatever it is. They picked up the flag.
Picked up the flag. There was a flag thrown for targeting, which was not. There was no launching. There was no contact above head or neck area. No crown of the helmet. Nothing. And yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. went out of the game with a concussion right here.
Yeah.
Again, from that whip, or we can't see there.
Right.
Did it happen when he hit the ground? Is it a really hard hit? Yes.
Absolutely. Clean.
Completely legal. And again, part of, unfortunately, what, that's
It's just good football.
what football players sign up for.
Just good football.
So
I don't.
hate that he got hurt on the play, but if a flag's thrown there and that play's upheld, that's the wrong call.
Correct.
And so kudos to them for reviewing the
got it
play, and
They got it right.
making it happen. So. Crazy stat. Really crazy stat. Teams that have played the 49ers this season. So we're 17 weeks in. Teams have had a bye week at this point. So teams have all played 16 games. So a couple teams have been on byes afterwards. Are 0-14 the following week after playing the 49ers.
And the Falcons beat them. Never forgets that. Falcons beat the Niners by 2 touchdowns.
They beat
and
them.
then lost.
And then they lost.
What a crazy
if
thing.
If you played the 49ers this year,
you lose next
week. You were
week.
guaranteed to lose the next week. The Raiders played the 49ers this last week. They will now go play the Chiefs, who are playing for a number 1 seed in week 18 and are
Load
playing
up
with,
on the Chiefs.
Again, Jarrett Stidham.
Load up
on the Chiefs. They will most likely finish the season as what I would say is the only team in NFL history
Gotta be.
to have their opponents
Lose the next week.
be winless the following week
Yeah.
in an NFL season. That is an unbelievable stat. I don't know if that's more unbelievable to me or the fact that the Vikings are 12-4. It is a very close. This one's, I think, maybe even a touch more.
There's a 0.
It's a 0.
It's a 0.
And like the teams that are playing are, obviously they've got division
We're talking
teams,
about games they lost too.
We're
not talking about just wins.
just not even games that they're involved in though.
No.
They're not playing
They're not
these
playing
teams the
them.
next week. Like this
They
is
just break them.
yeah.
Regardless if they beat you or not, they break you for the next
So
week.
basically, Shanahan is the one that has the quote here, and he's like, it could be a coincidence, which part of it is definitely coincidence. Don't get us wrong here.
we like to
but
think
like,
not.
the physicality comes into it, and a 49ers team on both on offense and defense that wants to hit you in the mouth a little bit, and there's got to be some truth to that.
Based on that,
because even at 5-10, like that's still pretty crazy. But 0-15 is what that
we'll finish that.
is going to finish. Yeah. So.
So week 17 and beyond, week 18 opening numbers compared to the look ahead lines.
Yeah, basically a lot of items changing based on who's won and who's lost, what the playoff seedings looks like, and things along those lines.
So that's what Eagles. I didn't even look it up.
The Eagles,
the Giants, or isn't it division games?
So the Eagles are playing the Giants,
and the Cowboys are playing Washington. We know we have that.
So this is all NFC East base, as I found and posted it. So in taking one step back to understand this a little bit more, the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Eagles have all guaranteed playoff spots. The Cowboys are Cowboys.
Who are they?
Cowpokes. Yeah. No. The Cowboys are guaranteed the 5 seed. If the Eagles lose and the Cowboys win, they can get all the way to the 1 seed, which is just crazy to think about in general. So therefore, the Giants are the only team that are guaranteed. They're guaranteed the 6th seed at this point. No matter what happens, the Giants will be the 6th seed. So they're the only team locked in to a seed in the NFC right now. So therefore, they're the only team that no matter what they do, they cannot change anything, and they are locked into the playoffs. So they literally have absolutely nothing to play for. I expect the Giants to play no one this week. Saquon and Jones have both been injury prone. There's absolutely no reason you put any of those guys on the field. So their game against the Eagles was expected to be a 1.5 point
because at that
spread
point
to be
they were playing for something.
Yeah, this is 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, they were playing for something.
As soon as that became the other side, the Eagles now still playing for the 1 seed, and basically against them, that line jumped 12.5 points to 2 touchdowns. And the Eagles had to win. Like, you can't play as well as the Eagles have
and lose 3 in a row to
end the season. Now, again, Hurts has been out.
Right.
But you have to find a way to win one of those games to secure a playoff win. Literally, you needed to win one out of your last 5
to get
the 1 seed. And so they will be, going for it. And I think they will probably begrudgingly a little bit have to play Hurts against the Giants. Even if it is their backups.
They get up 14 though. That might be real quick leash though.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was a big change. And then Dallas, because they were thought to be locked into the 5 seed, which they can't be any worse than the 5 seed based on records, will now have to play, hoping for the 1 seed, obviously get a bye and home games, versus having to travel as a wild card to Tampa. They went from 4.5 point underdogs to 7 point favorites, so 11.5 point jump in their final game. Because instead of sitting people as it was anticipated when these lines originally came out, Dallas will now be trying to play for a 1 seed. Huge. And we'll get into scheduling a little bit too, but the thing behind these conversations is all in when these games are played matters.
Yes. Yep.
Because as we'll see with the Sunday night game being Green Bay and Seattle,
could be irrelevant.
Green Bay and Detroit. The Seattle game will have an impact on that, and we'll go through all of that when we do playoff predictor stuff. But just crazy jumps from week to week just based on that information.
So we get back to college football. So we got college football targeting and NFL roughing the passer.
Yeah,
this is where we talk about
where
weekly.
We're living. So ball over the middle to a receiver.
Two-lane driving.
Yep.
This
is the game-winning drive. Mm-hmm. Great throw over the linebacker. Safety coming over. 2 steps for the receiver, so he's no longer defenseless. Safety's just coming over to make a hit. Both guys kind of turn their head at the same point. It's not a crown of the helmet like safety launching himself. Nope. It's literally just 2 guys running to the same spot at the same time. And I'm not sure if they went out cold, but it looks like both of them get knocked out simultaneously.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And there's no targeting call.
Nope, it was not called, nor should it have been.
And when we look at it, it was reviewed. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a flag on the field, I don't believe.
It was not. It was reviewed, though.
It was reviewed because it should have been.
Right. But it's not targeting. I have no problems with this.
You and I had conversation, and my point on this is that's fine. I don't fault the guy. I don't think he should be ejected or anything like this. One, I've seen half the hit with half the intention called for targeting this season, where neither guy got up shaken up, or there were no issues whatsoever. Both guys are literally laying on the field and have to be helped off the field, and neither guy returned to play. And essentially that's what matters. They got the guys off the field and they protected them from that perspective. But from a player safety perspective, if we're not utilizing targeting to prevent hits like this, accidental or not, then targeting needs to be removed.
Absolutely.
And so like that's, the roughing the passer, that's the targeting thing. It just shouldn't be a thing. We have discussed, and everybody knows when a targeting play deserves ejection.
Correct.
It's very obvious. These are not like, oh, if at any point you hesitate, it doesn't deserve an ejection. And that's the problem. There was also, because of the play in the Ohio State game, those suspensions, because it's a one half of football, if you get ejected, would have issues and would cause potential lineup changes for those teams in the next game, depending on when those suspensions were to happen or when the hits happen. So at the end of the Ohio State-Georgia game, if the Georgia guy gets ejected for that, then
goes a half.
He's got a half in the national championship game. He doesn't get a play on a play that didn't do anything wrong. Right. So,
and we discussed this. Just go back to the helmet to helmet in spearing rule then, because I get that. I get the helmet to helmet.
Right.
Fine. Spearing, which was the old school way of like you lowered your helmet like a battering ram. Yeah, that shouldn't be in the game.
Right.
But targeting is so it's all over the place.
Completely subjective.
And ejection, like ejectable things, should not be subjective.
Yeah.
In my opinion, specifically. We'll bring this up. Oh, it went full. There we go.
There it is.
Hey, Chase Sam's Foundation. Go donate. Donate now. Share. We're up at 5.1 million. Hey-o.
Remember, this goal shut off back in 2020, got brought back up last night. Again, brings a smile to my face.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
One, because of the person, but two, just because of, what this attention it has brought to this. That's all you can hope for at this point. Obviously, we've got thoughts and prayers for the family, the Hamlin family, but this is, $5.1 million from $2,000 to $5.1 million in less than 24 hours.
Less than 24 hours.
Yep.
This is what people can do when we come together.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's ultimately.
So that's the positive you take out of it. It's absolutely amazing.
I love every part of that. So we'll have that link, don't worry, in the description, and it'll be there forever. Thoughts on this? Back to Iowa.
Yeah.
The freshman transferring?
Yeah, I mean, so you've got Cade McNamara coming in.
That's fine.
From Michigan. You had a 2-horse race going into the bowl game between Joey Labus, I think is his name, and Carson May. Obviously, this guy didn't win the job. He's got another guy coming in ahead of him and the guy that already beat him out once. So, therefore, he's going to transfer. Here's the thing. Iowa has one healthy quarterback going into spring ball because their new recruit coming in, of which I think they have one and maybe a walk-on, don't get here until June.
Uh-huh.
Petrus is hurt.
So is
McNamara is hurt. Labus just played in the bowl game, and Carson May just transferred. They had 4 guys. 2 of them are hurt, and one of them just transferred. They've got one guy to
play spring ball.
To play spring ball.
And so they're overthrow him. So you're not going to do that.
I mean, are you putting out? From a quarterback perspective, we always had a lot of quarterbacks at Drake.
So many.
Like you always had 4 to 8.
Especially in spring ball.
Right. And like everybody in spring ball gets a chance, Like never having enough quarterbacks on the roster is never an issue. You got red shirts everywhere at spring ball. And even like practice squad and stuff like that, you've got certain guys that are getting most of the reps type of thing, but like the guys are there. The fact that there's going to be one guy going into spring ball is the story here to me.
That's bad.
He's going to take all the reps.
All the reps. And then they're going to bring in
we're talking about like
some high school quarterback that is a receiver has to come in and do stuff,
right.
Which actually to me hurts you as a It hurts your depth, specifically on defense and offense, because they're not getting the real looks.
Because you've got ones and twos usually, and then you usually have a scout team quarterback.
Yeah.
So you usually have three guys. You've got a fourth guy there in case scout team guy, or you might have a guy that's fast. And so on certain weeks, he's going to fill in on scout team for the other guy that might just be better at the quarterbacking position, whatever. So, you've always got four guys. Not the case.
They have a starter. They can go ones.
Right. Which you can go ones and twos. Like, it's not any different than a guy. But you at least need a second guy to be able to give the defense a look. So I have no idea. I don't know. I haven't looked into like if they have a walk-on in the program.
Can't wait for off season
to where like
someone's gonna have to walk
basketball brings in gray shirts. Like I was going to have to bring someone in for spring ball.
If you're a quarterback and you want to look at a top tier defense university,
you want to see the number 2 scoring defense in the country.
Go call Iowa and say, "Hey, I'm gonna sling that thing in spring ball."
Yeah.
Okay. And hey, maybe not. You might show out.
Make sure you get a red jersey.
Yeah, though, get a red jersey.
Get that first and foremost because they do not treat the scout team quarterbacks like they treat the first and second string quarterbacks. Make sure you put it in your contract.
You will still
get that nil. Get in there. Get yourself through spring ball, and then get out.
Yeah, because you'll still get hit.
Yep, save yourself the misery.
Guaranteed. All right, a little back to the NFL. And then we'll go college, and then we'll get into the picks. Championship week. 4 of the scariest injuries in NFL history all happened on the same field. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, all in Cincinnati. Did not realize. I
didn't know either. Antonio Brown, Shazier, obviously, Tua, and now Hamlin. That's kind of.
So we're talking about 2 of the worst concussions that we've ever seen.
Yep.
Paralysis. And
in death,
near death,
deathish,
all on the same field. And you'd like to say anything?
The away team, by the way.
And it's none of these have been Bengals players, 2 Steelers players, a Dolphins player, and a Bills player. So
kind of makes you not
like there's nothing there that like would show the people of Cincinnati. We didn't really talk about in the open. But just an outpouring support of grace.
Hundreds of them outside the hospital.
Yeah.
Like it was, they did it right.
You can tell that they'd been there. And it's unfortunate, but maybe that makes a little more sense now. Showing up to the hospital, things they did at the stadium, they turned the lights to blue and white at the stadium. Somebody designed a Bengals, Bills, logo that has the colors of both teams. Cool stuff like that nobody has to do, but just that
we can come together as a human race and be good people.
Absolutely. And I think this is the last one, and the last one I pulled up was just basically just to cap off kind of college football season here before we get to the playoff is how everybody wants to know how did my conference do. And my question for you was, is this at all important to, in your mind? It's conference records. It's the records of teams from certain conferences who played bowl games. And so the American Conference was 4-3. The ACC was 5-4. Big 12 2-6. But one of those 2 is in the national championship game. The Big 10 was 5-4. However, both of theirs lost chances
in the playoffs.
Very good chances to make a national championship. Conference USA was 3-3. Independents were 3-2. Big ones there being BYU and Notre Dame both winning. The MAC conference 4-2.
Best of the year.
Love to see it. Mountain West was 3-4. Pac-12 also 3-4, but lost their 2 biggest games in New Year's Six Bowls with Utah and USC both going down. SEC ended up 6-5 after a 1-4 or 1-5 start. So they finished strong. Obviously got their 3 strongest teams, in my opinion, being Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee, all with victories at the end of the season. And the Sun Belt was 3-4. So a lot of people will go back and forth. The biggest thing, and I think it just has to stop at this point with transfer portal and everything like that, but it never will because ESPN is the official sponsor of the Southeastern Conference.
NCAA? Oh.
The Southeastern Conference is not as dominant as it once was. I think there was a time in which the Southeastern Conference was uniquely superior to the rest of college football. And I'm not saying their very best athletes aren't. However, there's parity. And the people who say the middle of the SEC would destroy any other conference, it's just
not factual.
It's just not true. We watched it. I've watched it now for enough years consecutively you're just biased at this point with you're not bringing anything to the table factual about that. I mean, you look at Tennessee and they dominated and Alabama dominated, and that's fine. But you want to go look at, Missouri. You want to go look at South Carolina, who lost to Notre Dame. Kentucky, who didn't score against Iowa. Mississippi State survived 13-10 against Illinois. Those types of things. Like, that's the middle of the SEC competing perfectly fine with the rest of America. Quick shout out, Mississippi State got brought up. Mike Leach.
That was awesome.
We talked about passed away. They did an awesome, homage to him with the pirate flag on the helmet, and a couple of different teams did basically remembrance plays type of thing where the other team declined the penalty. So that was cool. I didn't realize Mike Leach was one win short of 600 for his career, which is the qualifying
I didn't know that.
number for the Coaching Hall of Fame. And so the hope is that Mike Leach will get the honorary win in the bowl game, and that will no doubt
if they don't
put him into the Coaching Hall of Fame.
If they don't.
I don't see that not happening, but that was something neat that
to be fair, he's a Hall of Fame coach.
Learned today.
I didn't know 600 was a trigger, by the way, but he changed the game. That's a Hall of Fame coach
100%,
to me.
100%.
I gotta say.
Yeah, that just goes
back to what you had asked the question of, like, what does this do for me? And I like seeing this because I like to see the parody in it.
Right.
You might want to start taking those. I love seeing the parody.
I think I'm only taking one since you screwed up the sheet.
You still lost both.
According to you, I never saw it.
We can roll the tape and go back if we have to.
Fine if we have to.
I love seeing the parody here. There's not one dominant conference except for the MAC, obviously at 4-2. But really, this is what we want to see. This is how it should be. There's just not a dominant conference.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Regardless if you think the transfer portal or who plays, who doesn't play. Right. There's parity in college football. Okay. Yep. And we're seeing it we saw it in the semifinals, all down. And that's what we want to see. So, all right, well, let's get into it then. Let's get into the college of football.
National championship. Next Monday. So it will be.
Let me get some good music going here.
We are.
And by music, I mean.
There it is.
Oh, someone came on and actually we were on the other screen. We should have realized that, but our bad. We actually had someone in our chat for the first time. Do you know that guy? I can't really see it, but let's break down Dak Prescott's missed reads. I watched a video about Dak not knowing how to read defenses properly and makes high school quarterback mistakes constantly. Yeah, Dak likes to miss reads. What can you say about that quarterback?
I think there's something to that. I think there's something to Dak trying to play within a system at Dallas where he's not allowed to be Mahomes or Rodgers or anything like that for the betterment of the Dallas Cowboys. But also, like, that's the difference in levels. Like, Dak is not a top-tier quarterback because of a full understanding of those things, and whether that's natural ability in combination with awareness. like Madden has the awareness thing. And I think at times when you're watching the Cowboys, it feels like Mahomes has the timing and the awareness and like those factors, the it factor, if you will, where Dak can make plays throughout a game, but you're always a little on edge whether, are we going to make the big play at the big time? Or are we going to make the big mistake at the big time? And, those are the differences to me. But I think that, if specifically this year, if you go watch Mahomes, Allen, Dak, any of those guys, all of those, and not to put Dak in with those two guys, but like those two guys specifically have turned the ball over in the red zone, and more so at times where you would not expect it than they have in any other years in their career.
It's true.
Now their teams are still very successful because of things that they can also do to bring their team back and at the end of games to close games. But we're seeing a little bit more of that as well as teams get used to those quarterbacks and what they can do to kind of bait them into things and stuff like that. I think that there was a stat last night before at the beginning of that Bills-Bengals game where Josh Allen had 4 red zone picks. I mean, it's one thing to have, 4 picks is 4 picks.
But red zone?
He also had 4 fumbles in the red zone. Only 1 was lost. But the fact that he put the ball 8 different times they were in the red zone, so pretty much you're guaranteed 3 points. 8 different times he took points away or potentially took points away from his team. Only 5 times did that happen, but so that's happening more in the NFL. But with Dak, missing reads and stuff like that, I mean, there's a lot of, you'd be surprised how many quarterbacks in the NFL aren't as knowledgeable with reads as some guys that have played at a collegiate level and some guys that, there's a reason that certain people coach and certain people play. And when you get the knowledge of 2, that's when you get greatness. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, when those 2 things can combine, that's when you get greatness. When Peyton Manning, when you can coach yourself on the field, and whether that's, again, a feel athleticism thing with the knowledge versus, hey, I'm really smart and I know what I'm seeing. However, my body doesn't let me do it at an elite level, whether it be escapability or, just having that half-second twitch one way or the other, and then or arm strength for that matter. Like I saw it, but I couldn't throw it type of thing. That's the big thing I think that comes with Dak is that, there's times where he locks in on receiver and, I'm going to CD Lamb or I'm going to my tight end. And it's like, oh, did you look at the other side of the field where he had one-on-one and the guy blew a coverage? Probably happens a little bit more, but it happens to everyone. Just because you're so locked into certain things and maybe what you saw on film and then the defense gave you a wrinkle or anything like that. But I would definitely say that it happens to Dak more than it happens to those other guys.
I'll just do a test that the defense knows these things too. Okay. So they're going to do things to make the read harder. It's not just all on Dak again, but if that's his weakness, I don't know Dak that well in terms of his game. If that's his weakness, teams are going to do a lot more to make that harder. So good point there.
Because the big thing is so if Dak is showing
true Hebrew.
Yeah. If Dak is showing those things, like you said, they're going to disguise coverages more, try to do more with blitz packages and stuff like that. Whereas Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers are really good against the blitz for multiple reasons. One, they have elite guys on receiving levels. They've practiced it a lot. And also, if you're trying to disguise something, that means that you're out of position at the point of disguise because you're showing something that you don't want to be in. So if they figure out what it is, you're screwed.
You're screwed.
And that's why teams don't disguise against them, therefore making the game easier for them because they've taken your strength and made it your weakness. And therefore, oh shit, we can't blitz. Oh shit, we can't disguise because we can't get our guys where they need to. We just need to make them matriculate the ball down the field. And as you see, Tom Brady this year, Mahomes, when he's struggled, is when you make those guys just make the simple plays, sometimes it's hard for them because they're so used to being able to make the defense make a mistake and find a guy wide open, bring a blitz, leave a guy open, that sometimes it's the very simple throws and the very simple plays that they struggle with the most, because that's not when they're at their best. They're at their best in 2-minute drill. They're at their best when in crunch time. They're at the best when somebody's at their feet. Like,
right. And it has to be frustrating also as a quarterback to just be always dinking and dunking.
100%.
It has to be when you're that skilled, right? Like when you know I can just go throw a bomb if I really wanted to, and the defense is saying no, we're just gonna do this. But also, I think key to all of that is inside pressure. So you have to do that, but you have to be able to have some type of pressure. Otherwise, they can just pick you apart.
100%.
So,
but if you look at Iowa, like that's why Iowa is successful in college football. One, you don't play as many elite quarterbacks. Iowa makes you go down the field, and if you can stay disciplined, just B plus type of grade out. Throw a 5-yard hitch. Throw a 5-yard hitch. Run for 4 yards. Throw a 5-yard hitch. Hit a curl, hit a guy in the middle of the field, go down the field 8, 10, 12 plays, and you're willing to do that, you can beat Iowa's defense, because they're showing you absolutely nothing other than we're going to run cover 3, we're going to run cover 4, we're going to run cover 2. There's no, but what do they do well? They tackle well, and they will keep the ball in front of them. And as you can attest on defense, if you can do that, you are going to drive teams crazy, because offensive coordinators and quarterbacks, for the most part, are not patient people. They want the splash play. They want the gotcha play. Yep. And if you don't allow that, it's frustrating.
And then they'll try to get you.
And that's why. And then
you get a pick six.
You're sitting
crazy.
Correct.
Yep.
So, yes, thanks for bringing that up. Appreciate the feedback there.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at us getting a chat. Whoop, whoop. That, wasn't your wife. So we're good. Hey, yeah. Look at us. College football.
That's what you think.
College football, TCU, Georgia. Line is 13.5. I guess I didn't. I'll double check real quick. But that's what it was.
It opened close to 15.
Yeah,
and it came down pretty quick, but I don't know that it ever went lower than 13.5.
I mean, it could be because it's 13.5. Like it's a national championship game. What are we doing here, peeps? Let's see. 13.5. Money's on TCU heavy, and 62.5 still. So. Here we are. Here we sit. I'm going to...
Not too many injuries. Not going to remember his name, but the big tight end for Georgia is banged up, but it looks like he's most likely going to find a way to play.
Yeah.
I don't know of any TCU injuries that I really heard of.
No, I haven't heard.
So relatively healthy, both teams coming in, no suspensions or anything like that.
I mean, really, it's
problem is it's a home game for Georgia.
Yep, sure is. Sure shit is.
Which I just have a problem with in general. However, it just kind of is what it is from that perspective. Georgia's been here, obviously national champions from last year. TCU has never been on a stage like this. Didn't seem to do anything with Michigan. My problem is that Georgia's on a different level from a respect standpoint than Michigan is. Michigan hadn't been there either, and Michigan got cocky.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't know if Michigan getting cocky is what cost them that game, but I know that TCU specifically had a chip from Michigan going into that game. There was a couple of different news clipping moments or Twitter moments of guys just being arrogant for Michigan that I think adds a little chip to TCU. Georgia's not going to make that mistake. Kirby Smart won't let that happen. So you're going to get nothing but respect quotes from Georgia this week.
Absolutely.
So you're just not going to have that with TCU.
It's going to be a very professional week.
13.5 is a ton of points for a team that has only lost in double overtime or overtime, whatever it was. one game this year and who has done nothing but been nothing short of elite in fourth quarters in closing games, regardless of how far they were down or how far they were up throughout any of the games that they played this year. I don't see a way that Georgia loses this game, though.
No. Nope. No, I mean, I agree. 13.5 might be a lot, although I can see it not. TCU coming back late, that'll probably be the backdoor cover on it. But Georgia's not Michigan.
No.
Kirby Smart and this team, being defending champs, know what it takes. They're not going to do a Michigan thing and go away from themselves. They're not going to run trick plays.
No.
Both offensively and defensively.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, let's line up.
Right.
We are better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And they are better than TCU.
Yeah. TCU was picked 5th in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Their quarterback was their backup quarterback going into the year.
And hey,
that's how improbable TCU being here is.
He has the it
and
factor.
they've earned every right to be here.
They have.
Don't get me wrong.
They have.
However,
they're not going to win this game.
I don't disagree. Are they going to cover the 13.5?
That's the conversation. The conversation is not who's going to win the championship.
Are you wanting to have that conversation, or do you want to go to the total?
Let's go total first.
All right.
Okay.
You're not comfortable having that conversation yet.
Look at all
right. You are
like,
moving around a little bit.
Fancy and stuff.
Like,
we can go to the total though.
Total 62.5.
62.5, kind of
big
low.
Number.
Kind of low.
Big number.
Kind of low. Last two games we just watched.
Yeah. I mean, we just watched 96 and 83 points,
which is why I don't understand why the total's so low if the spread's so big. You know what I mean? Like, we just watched a whole bunch of points. How did that not take into account?
I agree. I'm overall down.
Yeah, absolutely. Georgia themselves going to score 35-40.
Right.
And yeah, they might, even if they do blow out TCU,
TCU is not going to stop playing in a national championship game, even if Georgia does a little bit and can.
Yeah. The only thing is Georgia's defense absolutely going to shut down everything TCU has from a scheme level.
And I just don't see it because
I don't see
TCU has a top 10 receiver and two other guys that can play and running back and quarterback that are just tough dudes.
They are. Unless Georgia can their front 4, even 7, absolutely just rolls.
But even if they do for 2 quarters or 3 quarters, like that's still 21 points in a quarter for a team that
TCU's
completely out of it. Like
scoring 20 to 30.
Yeah, they're scoring 30 points.
Like that's what they're scoring.
Right. I mean, Georgia might score 60.
Georgia's just going to outpace that. Like, there's no way around that.
I don't even know that they're scoring 60, but 45 to 30.
They're scoring 40.
45 to 30 is a 75 point. Like, I just don't see it being any less than that.
No, the total's low. I don't understand that.
Yep.
Someone fix that. Don't fix it. Take the money right now. Let's go.
Take the over.
Over.
All right.
Oh, 13.5. So, it's, 2 touchdowns. So this game's going to go. TCU's probably going to come out punch. They'll probably score the first drive. Georgia will come down, tie it up. It's going to be 7-7 first 2 drives, maybe 3 drives. Then there'll be turnovers. Georgia's going to get up by 21 at some point. When that 21 happens is key. Is it 21 late in the 4th? If it's late in the 4th, they cover 14. If it's 21 in the 3rd, TCU's going to at least score a touchdown or 2 coming in. Mm-hmm. If this was at 10, I'm taking it. 13.5 is tough. That's tough. Your thoughts before we make picks?
My thoughts are neither team is stopping playing. Stetson Bennett's playing in his last college football game.
Oh, yeah.
They're not taking Stetson Bennett up.
Any number.
I mean, it would have to be 4 scores.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, a junk touchdown.
But, late 4.
And, what's behind Stetson Bennett at Georgia? Another 5-star. So, if they want to just run the ball or whatever, but, their running back's also their best player.
And their line's pretty good.
Yeah. So, if they're dominating TCU that much, I don't see them stop stopping the domination. I don't think it's going to be dominating. I personally don't think it's going to be dominating in that way. I just think that overall, they're just going to be the better team for 4 quarters. And even if that's 3 points a quarter, that's 12 points. And I don't really see either team trying to kick field goals.
No.
So does Georgia win 14-7, 14-7? They're up 28-14 at halftime. Come out. They're up 35-14. There's your 21. And now
what?
What happens?
And I'm saying with 0 turnovers. Like that's how I'm 100%. Tracking is 0 turnovers.
So it's 35-14 going in the second half, and you've got
Georgia's getting a turnover.
And then, Georgia goes up 42-14.
Then what?
And then now you've got Dugan on the comeback trail. They get it to 42-31. Now Georgia goes down and puts the nail in the coffin. 49-31. Does Dugan have one last drive in him to cover?
That's what it comes down to. It really is going to come down.
And we're at 80 points again. By the way, so
if it goes under, I'd be shocked.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
And if it goes under, it's because TCU didn't score.
Right.
Not because Georgia, didn't score.
Right. I don't see that.
And I just don't see that happening. So Georgia's covering.
Take my boy Max to figure it out.
All right. The Iowa kid. I can't hate on it.
To be fair, I was going the exact opposite of whatever you did. So I wasn't goonlocking with you in the national championship game.
I mean, we could have thought of a different side bet for a shitty shot, but okay,
absolutely not. Just going opposite of you.
I'm gonna.
I can make the argument on both sides. I talked myself into both during our conversation, so I was fine with whichever side you decided.
We'll end with Georgia,
TCU. There it is.
Georgia.
Going back to national championship predictions, I believe we both had Georgia at the beginning of the year.
Overall, we do have. That I did not delete. Did we even do that? No, Final Four should be down. No, that's NFL. We don't even think we got. I think we just did the 4.
Oh, yikes.
I would have put Georgia in the national and the natty. Wow. Yeah. We'll get to it. We'll get to NFL, but I'm not. I got 2. How many you got still alive?
3.
Hey. Although one should be dead. Dead to the world. Anyways, that's gross. That is bad. Here we are.
I mean, that's not.
It's not good.
None of them are.
No, they're not. Well, we had Georgia.
So yeah, I mean, I think these were our national. We put locks in.
We did.
So 3 of us had Georgia and 1 had Bama for the national championship. So, all right, NFL,
little NFL love
will come to us on Saturday this week.
Absolutely will.
So the Bills-Bengals has been canceled for this week.
As it should be.
There is a potential, as they're leaving it open, that game gets played at some point. I don't know when the hell they would play it.
Why would you just tie? Why just end it in a tie?
Yeah, so they're just going to tie. Before next week, we will know what is going to happen with that game. But that is going to have, as we get to our playoff predictor, that will definitely have an impact on what goes on as we get there. But game picks first. First game will be Tennessee and
I don't know if I put
Jacksonville.
I don't know if I put those in actual order of gameplay.
Yeah, that's the Saturday game.
Okay, good.
Because there's only 2 games on Saturday this week. I think, at least from what I can see, there's only 2 games on Saturday. So the first one is Chiefs-Raiders, which we won't talk about or pick, but Chiefs, if they win, will secure the 1 seed if the Bills-Bengals game is not played, or if it's determined to be a tie.
Yeah.
The Chiefs will take the 1 seed because of the tie. So there's a lot of discussion around that.
So I had a discussion with the barber today about that. Like, he's saying, well, the Bills are going to play even harder this week. I don't think the Bills care at the 1 seed at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that
like mentally.
Right.
Obviously, they care. But like, depending on how this week plays out,
here's my question, I guess, from that conversation is, the Bills don't care about the 1 seed, but then like the Bills are playing for somebody.
Correct.
But are they playing for somebody in the playoffs, or are they playing for somebody in Week 18?
And that was
my mourning period.
That was my point too. That's exactly what I said. I said they don't know enough of the outcome of Damar yet. If tomorrow comes out that he's good, he can return to the team. He might even be cleared to play in the championship. That'll trigger them to go now. Mm-hmm. If it takes until next week after, then them playing in the playoffs for a championship is the trigger for them.
Right.
I don't think they're going to have enough information at this point. They're still mourning. Why go out there if you're not 100%, like we talked about, mentally ready? What's the point? They're in the playoffs. They don't care where they play. They can beat anybody.
Yeah.
So that's where I was at with it. So you're right. But Tennessee Jacksonville, I had this game of the week because
Tennessee Jacksonville for a playoff spot.
This matters.
Dare I say the worst or most deflated team in the NFL versus the hottest team in the NFL? Definitely in their own conference.
Within their own 100%.
But Jacksonville, there's not a lot of teams that have been playing better football than Jacksonville.
Not at all.
Including their quarterback, who seemed to figure things out with Doug Peterson at the helm.
About damn time.
But, I mean, it just goes a long ways, and this is going to be a little bit outside of the game pick, but, like, coaching and placement of a quarterback, specifically in the NFL. Now, every position, depending on where you get drafted, matters, but, like, quarterback is so important, who you get paired with, in the scheme that you're put in. And it's why Brock Purdy's been so successful in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. And people can say what they want, but Trey Lance wasn't successful like Brock Purdy has been.
Same offense.
In the exact same offense.
Garoppolo wasn't as successful.
I mean,
to a degree more.
He has been.
But, like, still.
But the Garoppolo Purdy is way closer than the Purdy Lance. And Lance is a different quarterback, though, because he was going to run more. He's more of an athlete. But he doesn't do all of the things that Purdy allows. Purdy allows for all of their best players to get the ball in different ways, whereas Lance becomes one of those guys. So it's one less guy. It's one less or 5 less carries for Christian McCaffrey.
Shanahan's offense
so perfectly. It's why Garoppolo's good in it.
It's designed to give the ball around, not
because
for you.
You don't want the ball in Garoppolo's hands, and you don't want the ball in Purdy's hands.
No.
You want the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hands, and Deebo Samuel's hands, and Brandon Ayuk's hands, like in George Kittle's hands, specifically in George Kittle's hands, who the Iowa State connection has been unbelievable since Purdy started with him. Right. But anyway, that's just Tennessee is starting a guy who was on a Detroit practice squad 2 weeks ago.
But
who played well against the Cowboys.
Slightly bummer for him. I mean, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
So Tennessee going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 6.5-point favorites.
39.5.
39.5 is the number.
Jacksonville wins the game.
I think my biggest thing is 39.5 is too low. I watched Dobbs play. Mm-hmm. They are not scared to, like, if you can play that well in a half a week and own the playbook, you can play that well.
See, this is my problem, though. In division games in Jacksonville, it's usually low score.
No, I don't disagree.
That's where I'm at.
And Jacksonville plays well at home.
They do.
We're both on Jacksonville here.
Yeah, we Jacksonville's won the game.
Here's the thing.
I love seeing them in the playoffs. Love it.
Jacksonville does not have the experience that Tennessee does from a coaching. I shouldn't say that. From a coaching in the playoffs perspective. Coaching an experienced team into the playoffs. Doug Peterson's been to the playoffs, don't get me wrong. But he's coaching a different team. But he's coaching a very hungry team and a team that's been playing extremely well with a shit ton of talent on it.
Yeah, they got talent.
So we're both taking Jacksonville.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, I feel more confident because they're at home. I would still pick them at Tennessee, but I feel more confident because
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
6.5 is a lot of points for this. 39.5 to me is the biggest thing. I'm taking the over on this game.
Okay.
I think Dobbs, again, Tennessee's, both teams are playing for their playoff lives. They're not going to be careful with anything. And so therefore I think Jacksonville continues to be able to score like they have been. And I think Tennessee will open it up more. Also, you have Derrick Henry, who can possibly be dominant. But if they're able to do both, I think both teams will score a little bit in this game. I think this is a high 20s for each team type of game.
So what's tough about this is, and I'm revert back to what I did last week with the Dallas Titans game. And by the way, I went back to the film. I called the exact final score.
Oh.
Didn't know that. But when I was doing the clip, I went,
got it.
But I went the opposite of what on the over-under for it. But I was talking about your score, and I said, this is what's probably going to happen. Ended up being exact score, by the way. And I think this is, I'm going the other way too, is I believe it's got, I mean, they're both getting to 20.
Right.
So we got to go over. Mm-hmm. But I also could see it being 20-17.
Yeah, right.
At the end of the day. But it's going to go over. Jacksonville's hot. Tennessee, with Dobbs, is playing well. And I think it's something that Jacksonville doesn't have enough time to really prepare overly for. It's a different quarterback. Right. Same scheme, but a little different. So I'm going to go over there. It's a division game for a chance at playoffs.
6.5, too many points.
Absolutely.
I'm not Goonlocking this.
Just why?
Jacksonville, against everything I just said, Dobbs is going to he's going to come back to the mean a little bit this week in Jacksonville.
That's fair.
And everybody loves to play Dallas. So Jacksonville just cares more. Bucks Falcons -4 in a meaningless game. They're already locked into the 4 seed.
This opened up as 4.5. Brady's playing.
That doesn't make. I don't know what they're doing.
Why would
I don't know?
It's higher. Why would that be the case? Why would Brady play?
I have no idea.
So
it's 4.5 now.
Yeah, it went to 4 it was at 4.5, and then when I did this, like within 30 minutes, went to 4. Now it's back at 4.5. Still 40.5.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're getting 4.5 points, unless they're still thinking Brady's not playing the whole game.
I mean, that's got to be the thing.
However, although the Bucks aren't that good, like they're not that great anyway.
Well, the only reason they were good last week is because Carolina
let them win. Let them win.
Yeah,
Mike Evans was by himself.
Just run down the field 3 times. I don't understand. It was baffling to me.
So
it's the only way they lose that game.
Yeah. That's what makes
the
this
Falcons
one
aren't
tough.
going to let that happen.
No. So that's what makes this one tough.
I'm taking your Falcons.
I am too. It's the last game of the season. We're gonna ride till we die.
Riding.
And I'm going to take it on the spread, but I want everyone to know.
Do you want them to win?
Huh? As we get into playoffs, which comes into draft picks, we're sitting at 7. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure we can't get worse than 9.
Okay. So
and the best we can get is 6.
Gotcha. Play the game.
We're locked in.
Play the game. Okay.
Play the damn game. Win the game.
That's fine.
Let your quarterback get hot still. Like,
is there any pride in the Bucks as far as like 9-8 versus 8-9? To me, there is, but
I'm sure there's incentives for the coach for a winning season.
Record.
I'm sure there's other incentives. I mean, it's week 18. We're getting an incentive play.
Yeah, I get it.
I would assume that Bucks are way behind on their incentives.
Yeah.
Based on
are they so far behind that?
I would assume they are.
And if
Brady said he's playing because he wants to get in a rhythm,
right?
Which they have not been in. I don't even care. Last week
that they're getting into a rhythm this week, but hey, maybe I'm wrong.
No, but I'm riding Atlanta the whole way, right till we die.
I'm going under.
Really? Huh?
I mean, week 18, I don't like it, but I don't like if the Bucks play defense, that's their strength.
Yeah, I mean it's stronger. Put strength out.
Well, I mean, they've won. They're going to win their division, and the only reason they won their division is not their offense.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
So I'm going to lean on the unit that won them the division, as unfortunate as it is. They scored less than 20 points multiple times this year in 1 football games.
Got to be over half. Has to be.
And Ritter's still playing for the Falcons. Hasn't shown worse tendencies or anything like that, but still isn't putting up 250 yards in the air or anything like that, which is how you have to beat the Bucs, is through the air. You're not going to beat them on the ground. And I just don't see them being able to score unless the Bucs don't have their starters in and are just not playing hard. But with Brady playing, that tells me that they're at least playing for something internally. And so therefore, 40.5 is not a lot of points.
Nope, that's what I'm going over.
And the more I talk about it, the more I don't like it. But that's where that game looks for me.
Let's ride Falcons.
I'll take the under. Spread 4.5.
Oh, I'm just gonna ride with them. I don't really like it. It's a lot of points. With Brady playing, it's a lot of points. So
I'll take the
Bucs
ride over, just in case they
What's
really
week
want
18?
that
What else do I have to?
sixth draft pick instead of the 9th.
What's the worst case? One of these guys?
Dallas, Washington. Dallas playing for the 1 seed. This game is played at NFL. Dallas. Where you at?
Where you at? What at? Oh.
5.5 now.
5.5.
We didn't have any number on there before, so.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know what happened.
Washington out of the playoffs. Who the heck knows who they're going to start? Dallas playing for the 1 seed. And I'll just take Dallas across the board here. And the over-under on this game is 41.5. Dallas is playing at 325. Eagles are also playing at the same time, so Dallas has to play. I'll take the over.
They sure do.
Yep. Over as well.
Yep, and they're gonna win.
Goon squadding it or goon locking it?
You betcha. Goonlock. Because I ain't scared like you. Trying to get away from our damn Goonlocks.
I wasn't scared.
You did it twice. He's like, I purposely going against.
It's not like we've been good at goon locking.
Hey, it's been better this season.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm kind of mixing some things here with the scheduling.
Yeah.
I think this is horse shit.
This is completely.
Complete
and utter.
I do not understand what we're talking about is the Detroit Green Bay got flex.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
The NFL does not schedule any Week 18 games because they don't want a team to play and know that they're in or out beforehand in Week 18.
Because they want more money. They want games to be games.
They completely have control of the scheduling in Week 18. So any game is a flex game. Any game, understand that when we talk about this. This isn't like they had to choose between this and this. The NFL schedules Week 18 after Week 17. This is a debacle. Whoever's running NFL scheduling is an absolute dipshit.
They do this to get the Packers in? And I'm a conspiracy theory to the top.
Well, Dan Campbell's not going to let the Packers in.
No, but I'm saying
there's less incentive.
What the hell?
Yeah. So Seattle plays the Rams at 3:26 on Sunday.
Now, the Rams aren't good.
The Rams are not good.
That's fine.
They would have we would pick Seattle. We would pick Seattle to cover whatever the number is. If Seattle wins,
Detroit's out.
Detroit cannot make the playoffs. So Detroit is then playing
to make sure
the Packers don't make the playoffs. If the Packers win, they are in. However, if the Rams were to beat Seattle somehow and the Lions were to win, the Lions are in. By knowing the result of the Seattle-LA game and not playing those games at the same time, this is where we have our issue. This game should have been played at the same time. The Tennessee-Jacksonville game is a 1v1 matchup being played on Saturday evening.
Should Sunday night, 100%.
That you can move any other game too.
Not to mention Tennessee's coming off a Thursday night.
But the problem is the reason that they're doing this is that they're putting the Tennessee-Jacksonville game in a spotlighted game being on Saturday night because they just need to move the games.
Just move the games.
And play both the Saturday games as the Lions, Packers, and Seattle Rams, and then move everything else down. So, I mean,
stupid.
There's seemingly easy answers that are not being answered correctly by the NFL, as it were. Again, a lot of seeding still up for grabs. A lot will be unknown until that Bengals-Bills game on the AFC side. The NFC side, everything's still up for grabs on the NFC side. If the Eagles win, that kind of puts everything to bed as far as the 1 seed, and everything else kind of rolls into place. But the Vikings, 49ers, that still has some stuff to play out in those matchups. And again, whoever gets the 7 seed. So we'll go through all of that. But Lions, Packers 4.5-point favorites at home. Total is 49.5.
Weather, 33 degrees. Probably lesser with wind chill. It's nighttime. Get in the 20s.
Both teams playing well.
Yep.
Lions have won 7-9, with one caveat being the dud that they laid in Carolina,
which is why they're in this position.
The playoffs. But the Packers still alive and getting healthier. Defense is looking better. More what you were expecting the Packers to look like throughout the year.
It's fine. They're playing the way they should have been playing.
Correct.
I just don't want to see them in the playoffs.
Right.
I didn't want to see the Bucs in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they're going to find a way.
I mean, Green Bay is not losing to the Lions at home to go to the playoffs.
No, they're not. I want them to.
Yeah.
But why would they? Why would they? Now, that being said, I am taking Detroit to cover that thing. He flipped it, folks. I said it and then he flipped it.
No, I think Crosby kicks a field goal to win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. Also good to see Detroit winning. I want them to win.
49.5.
Now that's a lot of points. That's a lot of points. A division game, relative cold with a dome team. For this, I don't see
these teams played earlier in the year, correct?
Absolutely, they did. You trying to find what they did?
Yeah. I mean, not that says a lot about this game, because I think specifically the Packers are in a lot different spot.
15-9.
I thought it was super low, and it was. Oh.
Yeah.
You on the under?
Yeah. You can do it? I mean, you gonna do it?
Both of these teams can play offense.
They can.
Especially now.
The under's a tough one to pick for that perspective, yeah. But
I mean, I think this is a 27-24 game.
Right.
So I'm going over.
All right, do it.
Because I think that's the field goal that I just mentioned. For Crosby to kick to win the game takes me over.
No, it does. It could also end in a tie. So
wait, who goes to the playoffs if they tie?
Well, Seattle wins.
We're gonna check.
Yeah, we're gonna check. We're gonna
check. Find out.
Well, you're gonna learn today.
Learn today. How disappointing! God, that made me just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best bets or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, we can still write about those.
First one that jumped out to me is why Indianapolis was favored to win against Houston this week. That team's awful.
It's just so sad and funny with the Colts. Like, every time they sit Matt Ryan, the other quarterback does horrific.
Yeah.
And Matt Ryan he has not played great, but he's played fairly well for what is on that O-line.
I mean, don't the Texans, aren't they locked into the number 1 pick no matter if they win or lose?
Yeah. So they could just play.
Right?
Anywho, let's go with locks.
I mean, AFC games, so many games that matter.
I know. There's so many.
I'm locking the Chargers at
Damn it.
172 against the Broncos.
Okay, I'm not going to follow you because that's exactly where I was going. You know what? I'll ride with Kenny Pickett. Give me Pitt minus 154.
Over Cleveland.
Over Cleveland.
All right.
This one's fairly easy for me. Cardinals plus 14 on the Niners. I don't know why the Niners.
Niners are still playing for potential 1 seed.
I know, but it's a division game.
It's Cardinals, right?
Yeah. I just don't.
Don't see that happening.
No, I'm trying. I just don't see it happening.
Who did I say? All right, I will take. I mean, give me. It's 6.5. Is that what I'm doing?
Is that what I'm doing?
I don't know. The Texans thing just confuses the hell out of me, so stay away. Yeah, I think so. I will take the Seahawks minus 6.5 against the Rams, who have just absolutely nothing to play for.
And Seattle's
no reason
winning
to be
it.
good. Yeah.
You know what?
Over under?
Yeah. And I'm going to that Texans Colts. And I'm going. I think
shootout, huh?
I'm pretty sure I've taken under on every one of the season. Can't verify that.
Going over?
But I'm going over 38.5. One, it's low as shit.
38.5.
Well, give me the over.
The over when it's a whole bunch of teams that just don't give a shit, so you're just not going to play as hard on defense.
Let's just go balls to the wall. They're going to throw, just throw deep balls, just crazy shit. Let's do it. Let's get it.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to go to a similar scenario in Carolina at the Saints.
I could see
playing indoors. That game's 41.5.
They're just going to.
I mean, again, division rivals, but like, let's score some points. Let's have some fun. Last week of the year. Nobody wants to get hurt. Everybody wants to go on vacation. Let's go over.
I like it.
D1 pick. You got any fun parlays coming in?
I do. I got a 2-teamer, a little B&B action. Give me the Broncos and the Bears plus 627. That is the Bears over the Vikings at home and the Broncos or the Chargers at home. You know what? 2 franchises that, the actual Bears are going in a correct trajectory. The Broncos defensively have been fine. If they would actually score 16 points a game, they'd actually win a lot more games. You got to take the plus out and move it to the other side. Otherwise, it thinks it's an equation. So yeah, give me Broncos, Bears plus 627.
And I will take, let's see here. Gotcha. It's going to be the Jets. I don't know. I got a 5-legger.
Excuse me?
The old 5-legger.
I'm sitting over here watching my kid at Spirit Week or whatever, shooting free throws, and he's not a basketball player. And all of a sudden I hear I have a 5-legger.
I got a 5-legger. I got Seattle over the Rams, Vikings over the Bears, Houston over Indy, Kansas City over Las Vegas, and my Cowboys over Washington at plus 946. Going out with a bang.
I'm trying to think what I don't like there. LA? Yeah. Probably about the only thing.
What do you like?
Oh.
Seattle's playing LA.
Yeah.
Minnesota's playing the Bears, which you've got them in yours. But
Texans.
Here's the thing. Vegas has been right on Minnesota all year. It's the only thing that's been right about Minnesota all year is Vegas.
It's Vegas.
Chicago has nothing to play for except for draft picks losing, and Minnesota's still fighting for potential whatever.
I get that. Casey
So
play. Yeah, no, I mean,
Houston is the only underdog in that play.
I don't.
Somehow they're a 2.5-point underdog at Indy.
I can't.
Of both of those teams.
I hate that. I can't hate it.
Yep. So
I can't hate it.
Best bets for the week. We have money line locks of Pitt at minus 154 over Cleveland for Stoy. Myself, Los Angeles Chargers over the Denver Broncos minus 172. Spread lock. Stoy likes the Cardinals to cover 14 points against the 49ers. I will take Seattle covering 6.5 over the Rams. Over under lock Houston Indy over 38.5 for Stoy. Carolina New Orleans 41.5 over for me in that game. And the DGen picks of the week. Stoy has the 2-teamer of Denver and the Bears at plus 627. Denver beating the Chargers, and the Bears beating the Vikings. And I have the Seattle over the Rams, Minnesota over the Bears, and Houston over Indy, KC over the Raiders, and Dallas over the Commanders at plus 946. And that is our NFL picks of the week. And on to our playoff predictor.
All right, here we go. Week 18. You know what? I'm they took it off, and I am glad ESPN did that.
Mm-hmm.
They took the game off. I figured they would leave it. Good for them. They do still have the Bengals game, which I think it actually is to be announced. I don't even think that's in play. Either is the Bills game for this weekend.
No.
By the way. So,
both those games will be played.
They'll be played.
Yep.
They just haven't announced when they will be. Absolutely. So, Raiders, Chiefs, we're not even going to talk about it. Chiefs, they're playing for the 1 seed.
Yep.
They win. It's locked up because I don't
see any
even if the Bills Bengals tie game. So the Chiefs, they win, they're sitting for a week. They know that. Panthers, Saints. I'm riding on the Panthers.
I'll take the Saints because it's home and it doesn't matter one way or the other.
That literally makes no sense. I'm going to start on here. Let's go Browns, Steelers.
Steelers at home, but that's the only reason. I don't love that game either way.
But Steelers get in.
Mm-hmm.
Playing to win, playing to get in. And Jacksonville, Tennessee. We've hit upon this.
We both took Jacksonville at home.
So let's get Jacksonville into the playoffs. Ravens, Bengals.
Depends on if Lamar Jackson plays.
Yep. Baltimore's just playing for seeding.
Well, it depends on what happens with the game from last week.
Correct. But for now, playing for seeding. Does it make sense to put them in?
It all depends on if Cincinnati.
Do they want to play him again, with or without Lamar? If it's a tie, then
I think Baltimore has more to play for.
So you want Baltimore?
Yeah, and I think Lamar Jackson will play.
Giants, Eagles. Good Lord.
Yeah, Giants don't have anything to play for.
Oh.
Unfortunately. For my Cowboys.
Bucks, Falcons. I'm riding with Atlanta. I know you are too. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean anything for the Bucks, although they say Brady's playing. Still makes no sense. Dallas is playing at the same time as the Eagles, so they're playing for the 1 seed. Obviously, we have them winning. Mm-hmm. Chargers, Broncos. I don't know if the Chargers are playing for anything. I also have the Broncos winning. So.
Chargers are playing between
for
5 and 6. So I'd much rather play the Jaguars.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think they're playing for.
I agree. Bills, Patriots.
Here's the problem: the Patriots win and they're in.
Yeah, Patriots are going to play. If Kansas City loses for some reason.
Yeah, Buffalo's playing between the 2 and 3, but you definitely want to play the Patriots in the first round, I would think, over Baltimore or Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So
they're playing.
I'm going to say they're all in for Hamlin. So
yeah. Now, unless something crazy happens this week, God forbid something he worsens, then it's out the window. But I agree. Right. I agree. Which
the Bills are a significantly better football team than and I would much rather see Pittsburgh in the playoffs than New England, just because I just don't care for New England.
No, not at all. Vikings, we got them in, although I do have them getting upset. That's fine. That's whatever. Cardinals, Niners.
Still got an outside chance, so they're going to keep playing and better seating.
To play here, maybe. Mm-hmm. Texans, Colts. Texans win. Seattle better beat the Rams, which makes Sunday night game stupid, but whatever. Jets, Dolphins.
Here's the other game that matters, because if the Dolphins win, I believe they're in.
Yep. Jets aren't playing for anything.
Now go back. If you look at that, and if the Dolphins win and the Patriots win, who's in? New England. So
this matters too.
One of those games. See, and that's the thing, is we don't know when that Bills game is being played.
Correct. Because the other one's playing at the same time.
Right. Makes a big difference.
It's slated for noon. It's the only one that's slated. The Baltimore Cincy's not.
Yeah. No, that's what.
But the Bills are slated for a noon game. Baltimore's not slated for a game, or Cincy Baltimore's not announced.
Slated for a time?
No.
Interesting.
Why wouldn't? Never mind. That's stupid.
NFL
don't do something dumb. What do you have here?
So
play?
No, 2 is out.
Okay.
He's been taken out of the. The question is it Bridgewater or Skylar Johnson? I think is their backup. Is playing for.
Mike White back?
Mike White played last week, but they lost. Dolphins are again fighting for their playoff slide. They have more to fight for, so I'll lean Dolphins.
That's fine. And then here.
Packers at home, unfortunately.
I agree, but I don't think these Lions are going to go down easy at all. And
so what if they tie?
Here it is.
If they tie, Seahawks are in. Yeah.
What if Seattle ties? Just ties around.
Yeah, they're still in.
LA's the only chance for the Lions.
Wait, if both tie, so if Rams win,
Lions are in.
If they tie.
Both tie, Seattle's in.
If Green Bay wins, they're in.
So this is where we have it. Green Bay making it in.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yep.
Just disgusting, actually. I don't really like this. I don't like the NFC at all. No. AFC ended up basically how we had it for a while, except for the Jags getting in, which with Tennessee's injuries and stuff, that makes sense. And Jacksonville's played hot and played better. So overall, from these matchups, I've got San Fran. Vikings need to show me something, and I've got Dallas. AFC side, I've got Buffalo, Bengals, Jacksonville. I think that one's going to run in the seedings. I don't see the other teams doing anything.
I mean, I can see the Chargers beating Jacksonville. That's about it.
That's the closest game. Yep. That would be the closest.
That's going to be a fun game. That would be. I would love to see that matchup.
Correct.
That would be my favorite of the matchups we have up there. That would definitely be my favorite matchup to watch. Bengals, Baltimore, if they played, would be an exciting matchup just because it's divisional. Yep. But you don't really want to see that game 3 times, especially 2 times in 2 weeks. But there we are.
Here we are.
We'll see what Week 18 is going to bring us a lot. And obviously we have a rogue game at this point that we'll discuss next week along with the national championship.
The Natty. the natty. That's all, folks.
That's all.
Make sure you do donate to the cause. We'll have that out. I already have it up here.
Yeah.
Let's get a little refresh, see if it's grown a little bit. Yeah, hey, 200,000 in the
20 minutes
we've talked.
Yeah.
Since we talked. So donate. We'll have that in the description. We'll make sure to have that in actually all the descriptions of all of our clips. Is what we'll do this week. So make sure to hit that up. If not, you suck. No, I'm just kidding. But we will see you next week. Peace out, Girl Scouts.